The Adventures of Warrior Omega by Ryan Baker. The date is May 16, 2000. Location, southeastern part of the U.S. It was a normal day in May when Alan first took off. A trucker for the company, Connor Trucking Limited, was on a journey delivery. Alan was on his way down to Florida. Meanwhile, at an army base not far from Florida, Alan's brother Joseph took off what had just finished training exercise with some new recruits. "Excellent work, soldiers," said Joseph. Just as Joseph said that, Sergeant Caleb Anderson had entered the scene. That was where Joseph stood at attention and saluted Sergeant Anderson. "At ease, Joseph," said Sergeant Anderson. "Sir, I hadn't expected you to be on the field. I thought you still had work to do at the barracks," said Joseph. "I had just finished the work you are referring to," said Sergeant Anderson. "Next on my list was an inspection of the training exercises. By the way, how is your brother?" "He is doing all right, sir," said Joseph. He said he was on a delivery to a diner not far from here. As for the training exercises, we had just completed the first part." "Excellent. Were there any problems?" said Sergeant Anderson. While Sergeant Anderson and Joseph were going over the inspection, Alan just passed the Florida state border on the way into Florida. While Alan was driving, he had the radio on. One particular song was "Putting the Dark Back into the Night" by Sawyer Brown. Alan was singing along with the song. That was where Bobby Rayner, a friend of Alan and a fellow truck driver, came over to CB radio. "Hi, Alan," said Bobby. "Bobby, is that you?" asked Alan. "Of course it's me, Alan," replied Bobby. "I didn't recognize you there for a moment," said Alan. "How have you been all this time?" I'm doing great," replied Bobby. As Bobby and Alan were talking, Alan noticed someone in the distance. "I wonder whom the person is," Alan said to himself. "It's probably an illusion." Meanwhile, in the distance, the person was going over his mission statement. "This should be interesting," the person said to himself. "The boss shall be pleased once the mission is complete." As soon as the person said that, he started watching and waiting for when the coast is clear. Little did the person realize that there was a biker gang headed his way. "All right, guys, the diner's not far off," said the leader of the biker gang. The biker gang leader was a leader who seemed to have a ruthless side to him, but on the other hand, a bit honorable. The gang he leads is a rough and tumble bunch. Meanwhile, Alan had just entered the area where the diner was located at. That was where he had seen Bobby Raynor at the parking lot of the diner of the Clouds. "Hi, Alan," replied Bobby. "Hi, Bobby," said Alan as he parked his truck and had gotten out of the truck. "Just let me go see the owner for a moment. I'll tell her I'm here," said Alan. "I'll come with you," said Bobby. Meanwhile, the biker gang had just passed the Florida state border. That was where the lead person had noticed the person in distance. The person was the same person Alan had seen earlier. "Hey guys," said the lead biker. "It looks like we have a new target to rough up." That was where the biker gang moved towards the person. Then one of the bikers had tossed the chain at the person. That was where one end of the chain had wrapped around the person. "What manner of magic is this?" said the person. As soon as the person said that, he fell to the ground as the biker wielding the chain sped up. As a result, the person started to slide along the ground, getting dragged by the biker. Little did the bikers realize that the person isn't who he seems. All of a sudden, the person had managed to free himself from the chain. Just then, one of the bikers noticed the person had freed himself from the chain. Hey guys, it looks like our target is out of the chain," said the biker. As soon as the biker said that, he and the rest of the bikers turned around and faced the person. "You shall not stop me from completing my mission," said the person. "For the glory of the Master of Zombies." "The Master of Zombies?" said the gang leader. "What do you say, guys?" asked one of the bikers. "I say that we take this guy down," said another biker. What say you? What about you, boss?" "You're right," said Greg Anderson, the biker gang leader. That was where the gang had surrounded the person. "All right, bring it on," said the person. That was where the person had gotten into a defensive stance. Meanwhile, at Castle Director in the dimension of Octiviox, King Eduardo Anderson had called for his counselors. "Sire, state the reason why you've called for us," said John Taylors. I have called you because of a major event," said King Anderson. "What would that be, sire?" asked John Taylor. "The reawakening of the Master of Zombies," replied to King Anderson. "The reawakening, sire?" said another counselor. "Yes," said the reawaken, said King Anderson. It was 175 years ago this very month when the Master of Zombies had attempted to plunge this realm into darkness. It was only with the help of the Night Lord Joseph Barker and his sword called the Omno Light that stopped the Master of Zombies and his minions of darkness. Meanwhile, back in Florida, the Biker King had managed to do some damage to the person. That was where one of the bikers had knocked the person down. As soon as the person fell, part of his mask was torn off, revealing his actual form underneath his mask. "What on earth?" said one of the bikers as he had noticed the torn piece of the person's mask. "I guess you humans had figured out my secret," said the person. "What secret?" asked Greg. "I am not of this realm," said the person. As soon as the person said that, he tore off his mask. "What the?" said one of the bikers as they witnessed the person transform into his actual form. As the person had transformed, he also changed sizes. "Let's get him, guys," said another biker. As soon as the biker said that, the gang had attempted to rush at the person. Little did the gang realize that the person in his actual form is much stronger. That was where the person had finally transformed into his actual form. His actual form is that of an undead creature. His entire body is covered in decayed flesh and has an arch in his back. There are several sword slices in his body. He is a hulking creature, standing over 7 feet in height. That was where one of the bikers had attempted to attack the creature. All of a sudden, the creature raised his hand. "All right, I will see you pay for trying to mess with me," he said to the creature. "But first, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Gultor. What do you say, boys?" said one of the bikers said. "Leave him to me," another biker said. The biker is named Caleb Raynor. "Caleb, what do you have planned?" asked Greg. "I'm planning on taking him down with my power," said Caleb. "All right then. Show him no one messes with the fire griffin," said Greg. That was where Caleb picks up several pieces of equipment from his motorcycle's side pack. The equipment includes a shotgun, a chain, and a brass knuckle. As soon as Caleb picked up his gear, he started walking towards Gultor. "This is going to be fun," Caleb said as he walked towards Gultor. As Caleb walked towards Gultor, he equipped the brass knuckle in his right hand. Meanwhile, at the diner Clouds, Alan and Bobby were going over old times. That was where Officer Adam Morgan had entered the diner. Officer Adam Morgan was a take charge kind of person. He has regular equipment with him. All of a sudden, a call came over the radio in Officer Morgan's car. "I'll be right back," said Officer Morgan as he headed towards the police car. That was where Officer Morgan had picked up the comm link in the police car. "Calling all available officers," said the voice on the other end said. "There's a fight going on in the vicinity of the local military base." "I'm on my way," said Officer Morgan. That was where the biker gang and Gultor had managed to take the fight to even closer to where the diner was located at. Meanwhile, back at the diner, Alan had just started unloading his delivery. Just then, Bobby had noticed something in the distance. It was the biker gang and Gultor fighting in the distance. As the gang was fighting Gultor had managed to toss several of the gang members. Just then, Officer Morgan had arrived on the scene. "What the?" Officer Morgan said to himself. That was where Officer Morgan had called in for backup. After Officer Morgan did that, he tried to break up the fight. "All right, break it up, all of you," said Officer Morgan. That was where Gultor had turned to face Officer Morgan. "Good thing I called for backup before stepping out of the car," Officer Morgan said to himself. "I just hope they can arrive in time." Just then, Gultor charged at Officer Morgan. Officer Morgan immediately moved out of the way. At that moment, Gultor came crashing into the police car. Alright, whoever you are not going to mess with me, said Officer Morgan. You're going down. Meanwhile, in the dimension of Octiviox, a spy had just entered Castle Director. Ah, lad, you're here, said Ortok Porion. How have you been? I've been better, but I have some dire news to tell the king, replied Angus Davison. What do you mean? Asked Ortok. It would seem that the Master of Zombies' minions are trying to construct a giant battleship of some sort, replied Angus. This is most dire, said Ortok. The king must know about this. Fortunately, I had managed to acquire a copy of the plans, and had seen that the battleship is incomplete. They still need 2 more parts, said Angus. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Gultor had just started to head for his objective, which is located in the military base. Both Officer Morgan and the biker gang had given chase to Gultor as he was heading to the part of the base where the objective of his mission is located at. At that moment, one of the soldiers at the base had noticed the situation at that side of the base. What on earth? The soldier said to himself. At that moment, Corporal Mel Barker had entered the scene. Soldier, what's going on? Asked Corporal Barker. I'm not sure, but it looks like some sort of decayed creature being chased by a biker gang and the police officer, replied the soldier. We better do something about this, said the soldier. As soon as the soldier said that, the soldier and Corporal Barker had called for other soldiers to come and help in the chase. Meanwhile, in the dimension of Octiviox, at the tomb of the Master of Zombies, the Master of Zombies has arisen from his tomb. Has it been 175 years ago already? The Master of Zombies said to himself. That was where the Master of Zombies had looked around his surroundings. Just then he went over to a mirror. His reflection showed a creature that had suffered hundreds of years of decay. His skin had turned grey-green in color. His eyes had sunken back into their sockets. It seems that the objects in this tomb had sustained quite some wear, said the Master of Zombies. This must mean that the Master, the Night Lord Joseph Barker, is long gone. After he said that, the Master of Zombies had went over to and picked up his sword and shield, only to find that time had deteriorated the sword and shield. Well, I had better get some new equipment, said the Master of Zombies. As soon as the Master of Zombies said that, he headed out to the entrance of the tomb. Little did the Master of Zombies realized that a spy was outside the tomb in the Graveyard of Darkness. The Graveyard of Darkness is a dark and almost desolate place. Most of the gravestones have fallen apart. The spy is loyal to King Anderson. The spy was located partway between the center of the graveyard and the entrance. At that moment, the spy had seen the Master of Zombies. By the Elder Beast Gods, the spy said under his breath, I must tell the king about this. All of a sudden, a shadow phantom had appeared behind the spy. That was where the spy had turned to face the shadow phantom. Then the shadow phantom had raised his sickle. The spy attempted to block the sickle as it came down upon him. Yarg! Exclaimed the spy as he fell to the ground. Then, with his last bit of strength, he had written a message. That message was, King Anderson, there's bad news. The Master of Zombies has arisen from his tomb. I suspect he is going to join up with his legions of the undead. A suggested plan of action is to prepare the defenses. Unfortunately, I might not be able to help. Next time you see me, I might be one of the undead. Please tell me, brother, I still care about him. As soon as the spy completed the message, he had attached the message to a carrying case on the homing pigeon he had carried with him. Meanwhile, at the military base, Gultor had made it to the mission objective. Excellent, said Gultor. The Master of Zombies will be pleased. At that moment, Gultor had grabbed the objects he was sent to acquire. The objects were a computer system and hover tech circuits. Just then, Officer Morgan, the biker gang, and the soldiers had blocked the the entrance to the building. You won't capture me, Gultor sneers. At that moment, the soldiers aim their rifles at Gultor. You think your puny weapons can affect me, sneers Gultor, as he was preparing to charge at the soldiers, the biker gang, and Officer Morgan. Soldiers, prepare to fire on my mark, said Corporal Becker. At that moment, Gultor had charged at the group, blocking his way. Meanwhile, at the diner, Bobby had noticed the incident at the base. At that moment, Bobby went to his truck and picked up a pair of binoculars. What on earth? Said Bobby. Alan, you had better see this. What are you talking about? Asked Alan. Apparently there's some sort of situation going on at the base, replied Bobby. Wait a minute, said Alan. My brother's stationed at the base. At that moment, Gultor had made it over to the other side of the road. That was where Alan and Bobby had gone over closer to investigate. Little did either of them realize that the situation is far more dangerous because of the plans being put into motion and Gultor's undead powers. While the situation was happening in another dimension, a robed individual was watching the events unfold. This is most tired, the individual said to himself. At that moment, Brocktar, a cyborg lizard man, had entered the room. Sire, you have called for me, said Brocktar. Yes, indeed, Brocktar, said the individual. It seems that there is a major disturbance in the dimension of Octiviox. Is it the Master of Zombies? Asked Brocktar. I'm afraid so, Brocktar, replied the individual. This is most dire indeed, said Brocktar, as he moved his cybernetically enhanced left arm. Brocktar, said the gate individual. Yes, Gate Master, said Brocktar. I want you to go to the dimension of Octiviox, said the Gate Master. For what reason, Gate Master? Asked Brocktar. I want you to intercept an individual who will be entering the dimension very shortly, replied the Gate Master. Whom is this individual that you want me to intercept? Asked Brocktar. The individual in question is Alan Sukov, replied the Gate Master. Meanwhile, near the base, Gultor had made it to the designated sector where he will enter a portal leading to the dimension of Octiviox. I shall complete the mission, Gultor said to himself. At that moment, Gultor was surrounded by soldiers, the gang, and Officer Morgan. Humans shall not capture me, Gultor said. As soon as he said that, Gultor had opened a dimensional portal into Octiviox. Soldiers, don't let him get away, Corporal Barker said to the soldiers. Just then, the backup Officer Morgan radioed in earlier had arrived. What on earth is that creature? Asked Officer James Harpo. Said as he arrived on the scene. I haven't the slightest what the creature is, but we better not let him get away with the gear he's holding, Officer Diana Jolson said. At that moment, a giant came for the portal. Sir, said the giant, the Master of Zombies is awaiting your arrival back in Octiviox. I'll be there right away, said Gultor. As soon as Gultor said that, he tossed a smoked bomb to cover his tracks. Soldiers, fire upon the target, Corporal Barker said to the soldiers. Take him down, Officer Morgan said. But the soldiers and the cops were too late in stopping Gultor and the giant from entering the portal. Oh, great, said Officer Morgan. They're gone. At that moment, Alan and Bobby had arrived on the scene. What's going on? Said Alan. Apparently the creature has escaped into some other dimension, replied Officer Morgan. It looked like the creature was carrying two devices. What are the two devices? Asked Bobby. Meanwhile, in the Carnoxus sector of space, a Cordrak cruiser was continuing their patrol. Computer, access database, said the captain. The captain is Captain Sordash, captain of the cruiser Dragonfire. Her Sordash is distrustful of humans. Sir, said one of the crew members. Yes, helmsman Mercator, said Captain Sordash. There seems to be a wormhole several light years in front of the cruiser, said helmsman Mercator. At that moment, the ship and started experiencing technical problems. Little did the crew realize that they would be on a trip to the dimension of Octiviox. Meanwhile, on Earth, Alan had talked to his brother Joseph. Joseph, what are the capabilities of the objects that the creature has stolen? Asked Alan. Not much on their own, said Joseph, but when they are connected to a vehicle, it could be dangerous. Then allow me to help in retrieving the objects, said Alan. That could be risky, said Joseph. Do you really want to help in the situation? Of course, Joseph, said Alan. Hey, Alan, I just thought of something, said Bobby. What is it? Asked Alan. You might be gone a long time. Shouldn't you at least call your boss and tell him? You won't be in for a while, replied Bobby. That's right, Bobby, said Alan. I had better do so. As soon as Alan said that, he went back to his truck and picked up his cell phone and phoned his boss. Mr. Jackson, said Alan. Yes, Alan, what can I do for you, said Mr. Jackson. I will not be in for the next while. I'm not sure how long, said Alan. For what reason, Alan? Asked Mr. Jackson. There's a major situation. Apparently there was a robbery at the military base here in Florida, said Alan. Wait a minute. Isn't your brother stationed at the base? Said Mr. Jackson. Yes, Joseph is stationed at the base, said Alan. All right, then I'll get one of the other truckers to cover your load, said Mr. Jackson. At the moment, Mr. Jackson and Alan had finished up the conversation. Alan went over to Miss Joseph. Then it's agreed, said Joseph. After Joseph said that, he and the other soldiers prepared to retrieve the gate portal generator. Alan, Bobby said. Yes, Bobby, said Alan. I just wanted to wish you luck on this mission, said Bobby, and I would like to say that I would volunteer for this mission. But Bobby, what about your fiancée? Asked Alan. Oh yeah, that's right, said Bobby. Julie and I were planning on going out tonight. Thanks for reminding me. Meanwhile, in the dimension of Octiviox, Telzor and his clan, the Shadow Wolves, are in the main building of the clan's encampment. At that moment, an orc warrior had just entered the building. Sir, I have some major news, said the orc warrior. What news is that? Asked Telzor. Our scouts had found some evidence of the awakening of the undead, said the orc warrior. This is major indeed, said Telzor grimly. Then this would mean the master of zombies has arisen from his tomb. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the gate mass portal generator was put into position. Little did the soldiers, the police, Alan, and Bobby realize that the biker gang was still around the area. All of a sudden, Greg had gone over to Officer Morgan. Adam, said Greg, this isn't over between us. At that moment, Greg had motioned for the other bikers. We will see each other soon, said Greg. After he said that, Greg got on his motorcycle and started to drive away. All bikers, let's roll, said Greg. Alan, said Joseph. Yes, Joseph, said Alan. The portal generator is up and ready, said Joseph. What dimension is the portal generator set to? Asked Alan. It seems to be a dimension called Octiviox, replied Joseph. Octiviox, said Alan. Apparently it's a dimension of magic and fantasy, said Joseph. After Joseph said that, Alan started moving towards the portal. Wait a minute, Alan, said Joseph. What is it, Joseph? Asked Alan. You should get some equipment, said Joseph, just in case you get in trouble. As soon as Joseph said that, he went in and retrieved some equipment for Alan. One such piece of equipment was some armor. Another piece of equipment was a calm link communicator. Alan, I just wanted to wish you good luck, said Officer Morgan. Just then, Joseph had returned to the site. Alan, here's the equipment that you will be working with, said Joseph, as he presented the equipment. First is the visor helmet. It has several visor modes, which includes night vision mode, said Joseph. As Joseph was presenting the equipment, Greg, Anderson, and the other members of the Fire Griffin turned around and started to head towards the portal. At that moment, the cloaked person came into the area. Wait a minute, said one of the bikers. What is it? Asked another biker. There seems to be a cloaked figure behind us, said the biker. Just then, the bikers turned to face the person. "All right, whoever you are, explain yourself," said Greg. "I am the dark mage known as Orton," said Orton. "I have come here to Earth to request your services." "Services? For what?" said Caleb. "Yeah, Caleb's right. What do you want us to do?" said David Jolson. As soon as David said that, he and several other bikers had started to surround Ice Orton. "Hold it, guys. Let him explain the situation," said Greg. "Thank you," said Ice Orton. "I have come from a dimension called Octiviox. It is a realm of magic and fantasy. At this time, a dark being called the Master of Zombies has arisen from his tomb." "Hold it," said David. "For all we know, Ice Orton could actually be this Master of Zombies." Wait a minute," said Caleb. "Didn't Gultor mention his name when he encountered him earlier?" "Yeah, that's right," said Caleb, said Dwayne Jackson. "As I was saying," said Ice Orton, "the Master of Zombies had tried to conquer the dimensions several times. However, he has been stopped by many heroes. The most recent hero in history was the Night Lord Joseph Barker." "How are we involved in this situation?" asked Greg. "I have come here to request that you bikers help in defending the Octiviox from the darkness that is known as the Master of Zombies," said Ice Orton. While Ice Orton and the bikers were talking, the portal generator has been set for the coordinates of Octiviox. "The coordinates have been set. You're ready to go," said Joseph. That was where Alan headed towards the portal. "One last thing, Alan," said Joseph. "What's that?" asked Alan. "Good luck," said Joseph. As soon as Joseph said that, Officer Morgan came over to the portal area. "Alan, I'm coming along," said Officer Morgan. "Well, I'm surprised, Alan. I didn't know you were the adventurous type." "Knock it off, will you?" said Officer Morgan. "Why would you want to join me on this mission?" asked Alan. "First of all, he had stolen those 2 parts," said Officer Morgan. "Second, he had wrecked my police car." Meanwhile, in the dimension of Octiviox, at the Orc encampment, Telzor and the leaders of the other Orc clans were discussing a course of action. "The best course of action is a direct assault on the Undead Keep," said Telzor. As Telzor was speaking, he rolled out a map of the Undead Keep. He started to put symbols to show the plan. "That sounds like a good plan," said Tekor, leader of the Crimson Tigers. "But from what my scouts have informed me of the situation, the Master of Zombies had acquired various pieces of technology from other dimensions." "What do you mean?" Tekor asked Razdor, leader of the Torton clan. "For one thing," said Tekor, "my scouts report that there are several gun emplacements at the front of the keep. These guns are operated by a team of 2 zombies each. What if we were to send one of our faster troops in and have them move between the gun emplacements, as so that they would hit each other instead of us?" said Razdor. "Would that work?" "It sounds risky," replied Kitakor, "but it might work." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Alan and Adam had entered the portal after they had talked about the situation. "This should be interesting," said Alan. "What do you mean, Alan?" asked Officer Morgan. "We would be entering an unknown dimension," said Alan. Little did Alan and Officer Morgan realize that Ice Orton, the Dark Mage, had warped the biker gang and himself to the dimension of Octiviox. Meanwhile, in the dimension of Octiviox at Castle Duraktor, their captain King Anderson had contacted his advisors. At that moment, the homing pigeon had flown through an open window. That was where one of the soldiers went over and picked up the pigeon and retrieved the message. "Sire," said the soldier, "I have some bad news." "What has happened?" asked King Anderson. "The spy whom was stationed at the graveyard of darkness has died," said the soldier. "What did the message say?" asked King Anderson. "Apparently the Master of Zombies has awakened from his tomb," said the soldier. "That does it," said King Anderson as he rose from the throne. "We must take action." At that moment, outside the main part of the castle Duraktar, Alan and Officer Morgan had arrived through the portal. Most impressive," said Alan. Just then, Joseph had contacted Alan via the Calmly communicator. "Alan," said Joseph. It seems that you have finally arrived in Octiviox. Yeah, and this device actually works, said Alan. At Joseph, where exactly are we in this dimension? You and Officer Morgan are located in Castle Director, said Joseph. Any idea whom the ruler of this castle is? Asked Alan. I have a feeling that we'll soon find out, said Joseph. But from what I know, his name is King Eduardo Anderson. At that moment, King Anderson had arrived in the courtyard. What is all this commotion about? Asked King Anderson. Greetings, Your Highness, said Alan. I am Alan Stukoff, and he is Officer Adam Morgan. We are here too, said Officer Morgan. But before Officer Morgan could finish the sentence, he and Alan were surrounded by the king's soldiers. Just then, Ortok Porion had arrived on the scene. Sire, what's going on? Asked Ortok. It seems that two intruders were found trespassing on the grounds of this kingdom, said King Anderson. Intruders? Asked Ortok. Yes, intruders, said King Anderson, and they must be dealt with immediately. Wait a minute, said Ortok. I think I have seen these so-called intruders before. What do you mean, Ortok? Asked one of the soldiers. I remember seeing two individuals pictured in a book at the Arch Mage's tower, said Ortok. The text was in the formal Orcish language, but it said that the two individuals would be the heroes that will help in stopping the master of zombies. At that moment, the sound of gunfire had sounded outside the walls of the castle. All of a sudden, Officer Morgan had charged at several of the king's soldiers. Hold it right there, intruder, said one of the soldiers. Wait, he might be able to help, said Ortok. That was where the soldiers had moved out of the way so that Officer Adam Morgan could get past them. Once he ran up the stairs, once he got past the soldiers, Officer Morgan ran up the stairs to the top of the wall. As soon as Officer Morgan had reached the top of the wall, he saw where the gunfire was coming from. It was coming from the weapon mounted on Proctor's cybernetic left arm. Hold your fire, said Officer Morgan. We couldn't possibly do that, said one of the archers. What do you mean, said Officer Morgan. The creature fired at us first, said one of the archers. Yeah, we were only defending ourselves, said another archer. I am here with the human known as Alan Stukoff, said Proctor. What is your reason? Asked Officer Morgan. I am here on a mission for the Gate Master, said Proctor. Who is this Gate Master you are talking about? Asked Officer Morgan. He is the master of the gate portal, replied Proctor. Let the person in, said one of King Anderson's advisors. Do you really think this is a good idea? Asked another one of the advisors. Of course, replied the advisor. The gate master is a highly regarded person, especially in my homeland. Meanwhile, in the Carnaxus sector of space, the Kordrak crew of the ship Dragonfire had entered the wormhole. Computer, what is the coordinates? Captain Sordas had asked the ship's computer. Unable to access interstellar location circuit system file, the ship's computer replied. This is just great, said Captain Sordas. Sir, it seems that the opening to the wormhole is just ahead of us, said Helmsman Mekator. Chief Engineer Jordoris, said Captain Sordas. What is the situation in engineering? Captain said. Jordoris, the engines are still functioning, but warp cores are malfunctioning. What's the status on the teleporter device? Asked Captain Sordash. I'll patch you into the teleporter room, sir, said Jordoris. At the moment, the ship had entered for the opening in the wormhole. Sir, it seems that land is coming into view, said Helmsman Mekator. Land, said Captain Sordas. Helmsman, prepare for evasive maneuvers. Meanwhile, at the castle, Proctor explained the situation to Alan, Officer Morgan, and the residents of Castle Director. So, what you're telling us, said Alan, is that the Master of Zombies is planning to take over this realm. Why doesn't the Gate Master just come in and battle the Master of Zombies in person? Asked Officer Morgan. For one main reason, said Proctor. If he were to leave the gate portals unwatched, creatures from other worlds and dimensions could cause havoc among the worlds. At that moment, one of the archers stationed at the top of the castle wall had seen something in the distance. That something is, in fact, the Kordrak cruiser Dragonfire. Wait a minute, the archer said to himself. It seems that like the object is about to land in a short time. As soon as the archer said that, he took out a telescope and aimed it in the direction where the object is about to land in. What on earth? Said the archer. What is it, Jean? Said one of the archers. It seems that the object is about to land in Orc territory, said Jean. To be more precise, territory controlled by the Shock Rangers clan. What's the first act of business? Asked Alan. We should definitely prepare defenses around the castle, said John Taylor's. Aye, and we should send a team of warriors to stop the master of zombies, said Ortok. Not only that, but we should find some allies whom are willing to help. Yes, that definitely sounds like a plan, said King Anderson. But we should also acquire the sword Omnolite. Omnolite? Asked Alan. Yes, it's the sword that the Night Lord Joseph Barker used 175 years ago this month to defeat the Master of Zombies, said King Anderson. We must get going if we are to stand a chance, said Officer Morgan. If it must be, so be it, said King Anderson. But before you go, you should have this. As soon as King Anderson said that, he handed Alan a map of the land. Your first destination should be the Arch Mage's tower, said King Anderson. The Arch Mage, Alex Johnson, is a friend of mine. He would be a worthy ally in this mission. Meanwhile, in the village located in the northwest area, not far from the entrance to the Queen of the Witches' hideout, Ice Orton, the Dark Mage, was going over the plan with the Fire Griffin's biker gang. At that moment, a Minotaur had arrived in the area. Ah, Skaltaukus, said Ice Orton. Finally, you have arrived. Comrade, said Skaltaukus. I am surprised that you haven't been captured by now. What do you mean by that? Asked Greg. I mean that there are some bounty hunters after Ice Orton, replied Skaltaukus. Why are the bounty hunters after him? Asked Caleb. It was during the final battles of the territory wars between the Orc clans led by Telzor, leader of the Shadow Wolf clans, and the human forces, replied Skaltaukus, that Ice Orton has betrayed the human forces. Yes, but I escaped just before the Orc clans were repelled from Castle Director, said Ice Orton. How did you meet the Orc clans? Asked Caleb. I haven't met the leader of the Orc forces personally, said Ice Orton, but I had met Cyclops, the leader of the Shock Rangers clan. In fact, I have helped them gain some new weaponry, some of which were from Earth. While Skaltaukus was talking to Ice Orton, the Dark Mage and the biker gang just north of the village, and a little way to the east, the Cordrak cruiser had just crash landed. Helmsman, said Captain Sordash. What is the status? Most of the systems are still functioning, said Helmsman Mekator, but they have sustained a serious amount of damage. Is the shield generator still operational? Asked Captain Sordash. Shield generator is still functional, and so is the weapon systems, replied Helmsman Mekator. Just then Sergeant Dorgaris had just entered the village. Sir, said Dorgaris, permission to scout out the sector. Acknowledged, Sergeant Dorgaris, said Captain Sordash. As soon as Captain Sordash said that, he had contacted Lieutenant Gutaris. Meanwhile, near Castle Director, Alan and Officer Morgan had checked the map. So this must be where the Arch Mage Tower is located, said Alan. I find it odd that you humans would try to find allies when it would be much easier to go straight to the main base and take on the Master of Zombies in direct battle, said Brocktar. That may seem easier, Brocktar, said Officer Morgan. But remember, he has an army at his command. Not only that, said Alan, but from what King Anderson had told us, he has a flying battleship. What makes you so certain your chances of victory will be better with any allies? Asked Brocktar. You just wait and see, Brocktar, said Officer Morgan. We will win this battle. Little did they realize that they were being spied upon by a ghoul. Humans are about, said Ghoul. I must tell the Master of Zombies. Soon as he said that, the Ghoul had tapped once on a button on his comlink. Immediately, the comlink had contacted forces at the Undead Keep. At that moment, Quo Tor the Wraith had seen that the communications console had been accessed. That's where Quotor went over and accessed the communications console. General Quotor said to Ray, "This Ghoul Agent Kadordok reporting in. What is your status?" as Quotor. "There are 2 humans and a cyborg lizard man headed to the Arch Mage's tower," said Kadordok. "Excellent," said Quotor. "Follow those humans and the lizard man." After Quotor said that, he went over to the main section of the Undead Keep. It was there that he met with the other leaders of the undead forces. "Ah, General Quotor," said the Battle Knight. "It's good to see you." "Battle Knight," said Quotor. "I'm quite surprised that you haven't already attempted to attack Castle Director." "Arg!" exclaimed the Battle Knight as he went off in blind rage. "Oh, that's a wise move," said Fortox. "Why am I not surprised at Fortox?" said Quotor. Just then, Saltakas the Dark Troll had entered the scene. "Ah, Air Commander Saltakas," said Quotor. "How are you?" "Excellent," replied Saltakas. "Fortox, what is the status of your troops' mission to find and destroy the tomb of the Night Lord Joseph Barker?" "My forces are searching for it as we speak," said Fortox. Meanwhile, Alan, Officer Morgan, and Proctor had arrived at the Archmage's tower. "I'm rather surprised," said Alan. "Why is that, human?" said Proctor. "I was expecting something more magical," replied Alan. "Yeah, after all," said Alan, Officer Morgan, "this is supposed to be the realm of magic and fantasy." After Officer Morgan said that, he went over to the door and used the door knocker. Meanwhile, in the Archmage's tower, Alex Johnson was going over his spell books. There doesn't seem to be any information on the subject that you had said to Terrace," said Alex. Just then, Alex's apprentice had entered the main room. "Sir," said the apprentice, "there are 2 people and a lizard man outside the tower." "What do they look like?" asked Alex. "The 2 people are dressed in unusual clothing, and not seen in this realm," said the apprentice. "The lizard man, however, seemed to have metallic parts connected to organic flesh. That seems to be the similar description to that of the heroes of legend," said Alex. "Allow them in." "Yes, sir," said the apprentice as he was heading towards the main door. Meanwhile, at the door of the Archmage's tower, Alan, Officer Morgan, and Proctor were waiting outside the place. Just then, the apprentice had arrived at the main door. "The Archmage will see you now," said the apprentice as he opened the door. "It's about time," said Proctor. "Who is this Archmage?" asked Alan. "The Archmage is Alex Johnson," said the apprentice. "He is quite powerful." "Just how high does this tower extend to?" asked Proctor. "My servo joints are about to malfunction." "It's only 10 floors," replied the apprentice. "That doesn't seem too long, does it, Proctor?" Alan said to Proctor. "Ha! You humans may laugh, but you don't know what it's like to have cybernetics replacing any limb that is lost," said Proctor. Meanwhile, in the main room of the Archmage's tower, Alex had brought this book of legends over to the table. "Why did you bring the book over to the table?" asked Terrace. "It is to check up on the legend of the heroes," replied Alex. Just then, the apprentice had arrived in the main room, ahead of Proctor, Alan, and Officer Morgan. "Sir," said the apprentice, "the people in question are on their way." "Excellent," said the Archmage. Meanwhile, at the crash site of the downed Kordrak ship, the crew were working on the repairs. "Chief Engineer George Orris," said Captain Sordas, "what is the status on the repairs?" Just then, the ship was hit by an outside force. "Alert," said the ship's computer. "Unidentified hostiles located in the area." "Computer, was the ship hit?" asked Captain Sordas. "Middle section port side," said the ship's computer. Outside the ship, 2 orc warriors riding on Creontors had moved into position. That was after one of the warriors had fired a rocket at the ship. "Sire," said one of the orc warriors. "Yes, comrade," said Syntox. "We had started phase 1 of the raid," said the orc warrior. "Excellent," said Syntox. "Prepare to move to phase 2. Alert level 2, said the ship's computer. "Computer, where are the hostiles?" asked Captain Sordash. Hostile is located ahead of ship and to the left side, said the ship's computer. Just then, the ship was hit by several rockets. All crew prepare for defense, said Captain Sordash. Sir, said Lieutenant Kotaris. Yes, Lieutenant Kotaris, said Captain Sordash. I have some bad news, said Lieutenant Kotaris. What is it? Asked Captain Sordash. Our armor walkers are offline. Also, they're beyond repair, said Lieutenant Kotaris. This is just great, said Captain Sordash. Just then several more rockets had hit the ship. Helmsman, said Captain Sordash. Prepare autocannons. Yes, sir, said Helmsman Mechador. Meanwhile, at the Arch Mage's tower, Alan, Officer Morgan, and Brockdar had arrived in the main room. Ah, you must be the people that my apprentice told me about, said Alex. At that moment, Brockdar noticed something in the distance. First of all, I would like to introduce myself, said Alex Johnson. I am Alex Johnson. You three have already met my apprentice, Lucas Sorbo. I am Tyrus, Ranger of the town of Chior, said Tyrus. An elf. I should have known, said Brockdar. I sensed her energy level when we were on the 7th floor. Actually, I'm a half-elf, said Tyrus. What do you mean by that, said Brockdar, said Alan. My people, the lizard creatures, have a history with the elves, said Brockdar. Yeah, elves have a history with the lizard creatures, said Tyrus. As soon as Tyrus said that, she went for her bow and arrow and aimed it at Brockdar. That was where Brockdar had aimed his weapon mounted at Tyrus. Hold it, said Alan. We're supposed to be on the same side. Sir, said Lucas, there seems to be a disturbance in Orc territory. What is the disturbance? Asked Brockdar. Apparently the shock rangers are raiding a ship of some sort, replied Lucas. Then we must do something about it, said Officer Morgan. Yes, I agree, but you should be careful, said Alex. What do you mean? Asked Officer Morgan. The shock rangers are a dangerous clan. They're warrior raided upon creatures called Griontors, said Alex. They also have weaponry from other dimensions. Other dimensions, said Officer Morgan. Yes, but we should go there to help out any survivors, said Alan. It's agreed then, said Alex. Tyrus will show you the way. As soon as Alex said that, Brockdar, Alan, Officer Morgan, and Tyrus had gone back down to the first floor. After Alex convinced Tyrus to go with the team. I can't believe this, said Tyrus. What's that? Asked Alan. It's being stuck with creatures such as Brockdar, said Tyrus. Hey, just because lizard creatures and elves have a history of being enemies, that doesn't mean stop our people two peoples from reconciling our differences, said Brockdar. Just then, Alan took off. Joseph had contacted Alan via the comlink. Alan, said Joseph, what's your status? We just started our trip, said Alan, but we have been informed about a disturbance in Orc territory. Yes, and the clan that resides in the territory is the Shock Rangers, said Officer Morgan. Shock Rangers, said Joseph. Yes, Shock Rangers, said Brockdar. That we must get a move on. Yes, then you better get there, said Joseph. I will contact you when you are in position. Once Joseph said that, he ended the transmission. Hey, I just realized something, said Brockdar. What's that? Asked Officer Morgan. We don't have many modes of transportation, said Brockdar. That's right, said Alan. Officer Morgan. We couldn't use the police cars because it's in the Earth dimension. So is my truck, said Alan. I know of someone who can help, said Tyrus. Who's that? Asked Alan. Rotusar the Rat Man, replied Tyrus. Rotusar? Asked Officer Morgan. Yes, Rotusar lives in the encampment to the south of the castle, said Tyrus. I'll go talk to Rotusar. We'll meet you on the way, said Alan. I will accompany Tyrus on her way to Rotusar's place, said Officer Morgan. All right, Officer Morgan, said Alan. We'll start to head to the area where the service is located in. As soon as Alan said that, he and Brockdar started on their way. Tyrus, what is the area where the Orc territory is located in? Asked Alan. It's directly to the north, said Tyrus. Go past the bridges and keep going north till you find two cliffs. Is that where the borders of the clan begin? Asked Brockdar. Not quite. There's a couple of meters from it. There's a sign saying that it's Orc territory. I understand, said Alan. That was where Alan and Brockdar had started on their way to the Orc territory. Tyrus, who is this Rotusar whom you speak of? Asked Officer Morgan. He's a good friend of mine, replied Terrace. He had helped my hometown from being invaded by orcs. Little did Terrace and Officer Morgan know that the gold Katortok was following them. General Kotor said, Katortok, I have something to tell you. What would that be? Asked Kotor. Apparently the half-elf ranger Terrace is getting involved, said Katortok, and now Terrace and the human known as Officer Morgan are going to the base of the Ratman Rotusor. This is most serious, said Kotor. I'll send a squad of zombies to deal with the human known as Officer Morgan and the ranger Terrace. What shall I do, General Kotor? Asked Katortok. Hold your position, said Kotor. At that moment, a squad of zombies had entered the main room of the keep, where Kotor was located in. That was where the captain of the squad came forward. Sir, Captain Golax reporting for duty, sir, said Captain Golax. Finally, the troops I had sent for have arrived, said Kotor. I have a mission for you and your troops. What is it, sir? Said Captain Golax. It seems that a group of warriors has started a quest to stop the master of zombies. So far, 2 of the warriors are headed to the base of Rotusor, the Ratman. I want you to make sure they don't get any further in their quest. Understood, sir, said the Captain Golax. At that moment, Kotor had moved into position to warp the troops into the area. Meanwhile, outside of Rotusor's base, Terrace and Captain Morgan, after Morgan had made it to Rotusor's base. That was where Rotusor had noticed Terrace and Officer Morgan. Well, I'll be, Rotusor said to himself. That was where Rotusor went over to the front door and opened it. Rotusor said Terrace as soon as she saw Rotusor. Ah, Terrace, said Rotusor. Or, it's been a long time. It sure has been a long time, said Terrace. At that moment, a squad of zombies had appeared in the area. By the gods, said Rotusor. Finally, the targets, said Captain Golax. All right, troops, surround and attack. Yes, sir, said zombie troops as they moved into position. Oh, great, exclaimed Captain Officer Morgan. How did they get here? Apparently, it's the work of General Kotor, said Rotusor. Kotor, said Officer Morgan. Who's that? Just then, zombie tried to jump at Rotusor. Fortunately, Rotusor managed to dodge the attack. Officer Morgan had unholstered both of his guns and aimed both of the zombies. If I remember correctly, said Officer Morgan, to stop a zombie, aim for the head. Where did you learn that? Asked Terrace. That was from watching zombie movies, replied Officer Morgan. That was where most of the zombies had surrounded Officer Morgan. This should be good, said one of the zombies. All of a sudden, the zombies had charged at Officer Morgan, Terrace, and Rotusor. Bang, bang. Shots rang out as several zombies fell. Several zombies had tried to gang up on Terrace. Terrace, watch out, exclaimed Officer Morgan. Just then, a zombie managed to injure Terrace. Ah! Terrace exclaimed as she fell to the ground. Now for the human and the rat man, said Captain Golax. How dare you hurt her? I'm a friend of mine, said Rotusor. As soon as he said that, Rotusor had charged at the remaining zombies. Rotusor, wait, said Terrace, but before Rotusor could react, he was hit with an arrow from one of the zombies. Yarr! Rotusor exclaimed. When the arrow had pierced his shoulder, that was where Officer Morgan had moved into position. Trying to be the hero, human, said Captain Golax. Zombies, attack. Just then, zombies had charged at Officer Morgan. Officer Morgan had started charging at the zombies with both guns blazing. This is for harming Rotusor and Terrace, said Officer Morgan. While that was going on, Katortok was watching from a distance. This is most interesting, Katortok said to himself. The human seems to be quite a fighter. Meanwhile, Brocktar and Alan had crossed the bridge leading north into Orc territory. You're probably wondering how I got these cybernetics, said Brocktar. How did you get this cybernetics, asked Alan. It was in the late 19th century in your home realm of Earth, said Brocktar, when I had entered the realm by accident. The location I landed in was England. 19th century England, Alan said curiously. I know it sounds strange, said Brocktar. During that time I had encountered a time-traveling mad bomber. A time-traveling mad bomber, said said Alan. Yes, sir. During the encounter, one of his bombs went off, said Proctor. I tried to move it out of the way, but it went off, and it cost me my arm. How did you get cybernetics? Asked Alan. That was with the help of an alien warrior whom had arrived there centuries before, said Proctor. Ever since the incident, I didn't see the mad bomber ever again. Just then, Proctor had seen something in the distance. Computer, said Proctor. Access long-range visual scan. Accessing long-range scans, Proctor's computer replied. Why on earth is that? Said Proctor. It's Alan. That was where the recon patrol, led by Sergeant Dorgaris, had moved into position. Wait a minute, said Sergeant Dorgaris. Apparently there are two individuals in the area. Distance, said Calsortus. That was where Calsortus had checked the viewscope. Are you able to tell who or what they are? Asked Dorgaris. There is a human and a lizard man, replied Calsortus. A human and a lizard man? Asked Corgarto. Yes, young warrior, a human and a lizard man. How are you able to recognize that there is a human and a lizard man? Asked Dorgaris. I have seen many different kinds of life forms throughout my life, said Calsortus. I have witnessed these lizard creatures and some of the events in their civilization. What events? Asked one of the members of the recon patrol. One such event happened during the battles in the sister realm of this realm, said Calsortus. It was when a sacred object that the elves had deep respect for had been stolen. What happened next? Said Ascargarto. The elves had suspected the lizard creatures of being the culprits, said Calsortus. It was later revealed that a clan of orcs had stolen the object known as the Vase of Light. Why would the orcs steal the Vase of Light? Asked Dorgaris. Just then Alan and Proctor came closer to the recon patrol. Well, I'll be, Proctor said. It was a patrol of Kordrak warriors. Kordrak, said Alan. Yes, it just so happens that a member of their people had helped me get these cybernetics, said Proctor. Just then Calsortus came from the recon patrol. Wait a minute, said Calsortus. Is that you, Proctor? Calsortus, said Proctor. Well, I'll be, said Calsortus. It is you. That was where Proctor and Calsortus came forth and started acting like old friends, which in fact they are. Alan was standing there with a rather confused look. So there were the other members of the recon patrol. It's been a long time, Proctor said to Calsortus. Yeah, it's been 500 years, said Calsortus. 500 years? Alan asked curiously. Yes, young human. 500 years ago, I met a young lizard man by the name of Proctor. Yes, it was during the time of conflict between my people and the elves, said Proctor. The events took place in the dimension that just so happened to be the sister realm of this realm. Hey, wait a minute, said Alan. Proctor, when you told me that the events in which you got your cybernetics, the events you said took place in the late 19th century in England. Yes, what about it? Asked Proctor. How were you able to arrive in England during the late 19th centuries? Asked Alan. At that moment, Captain Sordash had contacted the recon patrol. Sergeant Dorgaris, said Captain Sordash. Yes, Captain, said Sergeant Dorgaris. There's a situation here at the ship, said Captain Sordash. The orcs it must be near, said Proctor. How would you know, lizard man? Said Captain Sordash. We were told by Terrace the Ranger, said Proctor. We are on our way to the site of a crashed object in the orc territory, said Alan. The object you are referring to is our ship, said Dorgaris. How dare you insult the Kordrak cruiser Dragonfire, the glory of the Kordrak Armada? Just then Dorgaris had attempted to strike down Alan for the perceived insult. Stand down, Dorgaris, said Calsortus. What do you mean, said Calsortus, said Dorgaris. Your land pride clouds your judgment, said Calsortus. You must learn to control your emotions. If you insist, said Dorgaris. After Dorgaris said that, she started to head back to the cruiser. I must apologize on Dorgaris' behalf and on behalf of our patrol, said Calsortus. Dorgaris tends to get riled up whenever someone insults Kordrak, its people, army, or its technology, or even the whole planet. We better get the move on if we are to be of any help, said Alan. That's right, said Brocktar. Why don't you hop on board? Says Calsarchus. On board? Said Brocktar. Yes. On board the Dracus 7, said Calsarchus. The Dracus 7 is a four-wheeled recon vehicle. Its features include a cloaking device. I just hope we can get there in time to be of any help, said Alan. And that was where Alan, Brocktar, and Calsarchus started to make their way to the Kordrack cruiser. Meanwhile, at Rotusor's place, the zombies were shot down by Officer Morgan. You won't be able to stop the master zombies, said Captain Gulax. As he was saying that, he looked over at Terrace and Rotusor. Then he looked back at Officer Morgan. That was where he started moving towards Officer Morgan. It seems your friends are in bad position, said Captain Gulax. You shall not proceed any further. As he was coming closer, Captain Gulax had reached for his battle axe. The master zombies shall thank me for eliminating these so-called heroes, said Captain Gulax. You won't stop us, said Officer Morgan, as he was reloading his guns. All right, you rotting piece of flesh, Officer Morgan said under his breath. Just a moment longer. That was where Captain Gulax had started to quicken his pace. At that moment, Tyrus had managed to toss an arrow in Captain Gulax's path. The arrow had at that moment, the Captain Gulax had tripped over the arrow. Arg, Captain Gulax said as he fell to the ground. That was your chance, Officer Morgan, Tyrus said to Officer Morgan. That was where Officer Morgan had gotten into position. All right, you rotting piece of flesh, said Officer Morgan. Get up. As he was saying this, he aimed both of his guns directly at Captain Gulax's head. Human, why do you even bother with this talk, Captain Gulax said to Officer Morgan. Once he said that, Captain Gulax went for his battle axe. Don't even bother trying to get your axe, said Officer Morgan. While Officer Morgan was dealing with Captain Gulax, the Ghoul Katorak was moving closer to the scene. I must help Captain Gulax, said Katorak. Just then, the archers whom were stationed at the south wall of the castle had come back from the armory. Wait a minute, said one of the archers. What is it, Greg? Said another one of the archers asked Greg. It looks like a ghoul is fighting Officer Morgan, said Greg. Not only that, it looks like a half-elf and the ratman or two are in the area. It looks like they're injured. We better do something to help them, said one of the archers. Just then, the knight Dante Morgan had come in onto the wall. What's going on? Asked Dante. It seems that there's a situation going on outside the Rotusor's place, said Greg. I shall get a squad of troops ready, said Dante. Just then one of the archers said no to Ghoul Katorak. Hey guys, the archer said, there seems to be Ghoul here. At that moment, Katorak noticed the archers on the wall. Oh great, said Katorak. Hey Captain Gulax, you better hurry up and finish off the human, the half-elf, and the ratman. Yeah, said Captain Gulax. I'm on it. After he said that, he went for his secondary weapon, which is a short sword. Hold it right there, said Officer Morgan. You won't stop me from completing my mission, said Captain Gulax. As soon as he said that, he charged at Officer Morgan. For the glory of the Master of Zombies, said Captain Gulax exclaimed as he charged at Officer Morgan. Watch out, exclaimed Tyrus. Just then, Officer Morgan did manage to dodge out of the way of Captain Gulax's charge. Huh? Said Captain Gulax. How are you able to move? Little did Officer Morgan, Tyrus, and Rotusor realize that Captain Gulax isn't the only undead creature in the area. All of a sudden, Katorak had started charging towards the area where Officer Morgan, Tyrus, and Rotusor and Captain Gulax were located in. All the while, the archers were firing at Katorak. Just then, Katorak had turned to face the archers in the barrage of arrows. Katorak then took a blade disc from his belt and tossed it at the archers. The blade disc is a circular disc weapon with a curved blade on each section. Incoming projectile, exclaimed one of the archers as soon as the archer said that, the archers had put up their shields and attempted to block the blade disc, but it was too late. The blade just can't manage to hit its target as it sliced through several of the archers' armor. Oh, exclaimed the injured archers as they fell to the floor. Someone get the healer up here, said Greg Myers. That was where one of the archers had started on his way to get help. Meanwhile, at the sight of the crashed Cordrak cruiser, Calsortus had joined with the rest of the crew. All of a sudden, one of the orcs had targeted Calsortus. This should be good, the orc said as he loaded a missile launcher. Helmsman, said Captain Sordas. What's the status? I'm getting several incoming projectiles, said Helmsman Mekator. They're coming from the starboard side. Just then, several rockets hit the cruiser right below the autocannons on the starboard side. Kaboom! The rockets hit directly at the shields, which rocked the ship. Chief Engineer Jordoris, said Captain Sordas. How are you and the crew doing in the engine repair? Warp coils are nearly repaired, replied Jordoris. At that moment, Sordas said, contacted Captain Sordas. Sir, said Captain Sordas. Recon Patrol Alpha reporting in. Sordas, what's your status? Asked Captain Sordas. Apparently, this realm has many different cultures, said Sordas. Cultures, said Captain Sordas. What kind? There's a medieval type of area to the south of this area, said Sordas. At that moment, several orc warriors came charging in at the Recon Patrol, Alan and Brocktar. For the glorious clan, said one of the orc warriors exclaimed. Warning, incoming hostiles, Brocktar's computer said. I suggest we defend ourselves, said Brocktar, as he was getting into defensive position. Cordrak warriors began defensive maneuvers, said Sergeant Dogaris. As the Cordrak warriors were getting into defensive position, Cyclops had motioned for his Gatling cannon artillery crews. All right, comrades, said Cyclops. Move into position. Yes, sir, said the artillery crew captain. That was where Brocktar had noticed the artillery crew moving towards the rear of the cruiser. Guys, said Brocktar, there seems to be an artillery crew headed towards the rear of the ship. Oh, great, said Dorgars. If they make it to that part, they'll be able to knock out the external propulsion system. Aren't there any shields in that area, or at least any way of defense in that area, said Alan. There's only a couple of chain guns and an energy shield protecting the external propulsion system, said Dorgars. I'll help defend the position, said Cargardo. At little did the Cordrak crew, the Recon Patrol, Alan, Brocktar, and the orcs realized that the Battle Knight was watching the situation. Most impressive, the Battle Knight said to himself. These orcs had some powerful weapons. Just then, Quotor had contacted the Battle Knight. Battle Knight, what is your position and status? Asked Quotor. I'm outside the site of a crashed alien ship, said the Battle Knight. Crashed alien ship, said Quotor. Yes, a crashed alien ship, said the Battle Knight. I'm not waiting. As soon as the Battle Knight said that he had unsheathed his skull sword and started charging towards the site. That was where one of the orc warriors had noticed that the Battle Knight was charging towards the site. Sir, said the orc, the Battle Knight is approaching. Prepare defensive maneuvers, said Syntox. That was where two artillery crews moved into position, along with a squad of orc warriors, both on Griantors and on foot. All troops fire on the Battle Knight, said the artillery crew captain. That was where every troop in the defensive position started firing at the Battle Knight. Pow, pow! Each of the shots from the artillery cannons had hit the Battle Knight. However, the Gatling cannons had no effect on the Battle Knight or his armor. That can't be possible, said one of the orcs. This guy isn't going down, and said another orc. That was where several rocket launcher railing orcs moved into position and then fired upon the Battle Knight. That should do it, said the artillery captain. All of a sudden, the orcs had started to see the shadow emerge from the shadowy smoke. It was that of the Battle Knight. Is there anything that he can do to stop him? Said one of the orcs. Looks, guys, said another orc. It looks like most of the Battle Knight's armor is heavily damaged. The Battle Knight's armor has sustained heavy damage, including his helmet. Hey guys, said one of the orcs. We might have a chance of beating this guy. All of a sudden, When the orcs had seen the Battle Knight start to recover his armor, the Battle Knight's armor is created from dark powers. It can recover itself using its dark powers. As the Battle Knight's armor was repairing itself, he looked down on his tunic. He had remembered that there was a cut on the tunic right over his chest. It's been years, the Battle Knight said to himself, that I faced Joseph Barker. The event that the Battle Knight is referring to happened many, many years ago. It was when the Battle Knight had battled the Night Lord Joseph Barker. The battle had left the Battle Knight with a scar on his chest. That was where Quotor had managed to contact the Battle Knight. Battle Knight said Quotor returned to base immediately. Not until I finished what I've started, said the Battle Knight. Get back here immediately. The Master of Zombies is expecting you at the Undead Keep. Said the Master of Zombies is there, said Battle Knight. The Master of Zombies is there, said the Battle Knight. Yes, and he's waiting for you, said Quotor. If you insist, said the Battle Knight. That was where the Battle Knight had faced the orcs, the Brocktar, the crew, Dragonfire, and Alan. Until next time, said the Battle Knight. Once he said that, he started to head towards the Undead Keep. Who was that? Asked Alan. I haven't the slightest, said Kelsortis. Even in all my years, I've seen hundreds of worlds and hundreds of people. Never before have I seen a being such as him. That was where the orcs had turned to face the crew of the Kordrak cruiser, Alan and Brocktar. All warriors, said Dorgars, prepared to defend the ship at all costs. Once Dorgars said that, she and the warriors had readied their weapons. All of a sudden, an orc warrior came forth from the clan. All warriors, hold your fire, said Syntox. What on earth, said Alan. At that moment, Joseph had contacted Alan via the comlink. Alan, said Joseph, what's your status? Officer Morgan and I had arrived in Octiviox, said Alan. I am currently at the site of a crash-landed alien cruiser. Interesting, said Joseph. What else has happened? Were you able to find the creature that stole the parts? I haven't found him yet, said Alan, but I have an idea where he might be at. Oh, really now, said Joseph. Where would that be? Well, when the knight was talking to the dark being said something about an undead keep, said Alan. An undead keep, asked Joseph. I haven't sliced what that is, said Alan. Just then, an orc warrior had reached the Kordrak cruiser. What on earth, said Alan, on behalf of Captain Syndox, leader of the Shock Rangers clan, and on, said the orc warrior, but before the orc warrior could finish his sentence, Brocktar had grabbed him by the throat and started to lift him into the air. All right, you slimy, said Brocktar. Hold it right there, said Brocktar. Said Alan. Let the warrior speak if you insist, said Brocktar as he put the warrior back on the ground. Continue what you're saying, said Alan. As I was saying, said the orc, on behalf of Captain Syndox and the Shock Rangers, Captain Syndox wishes to apologize for any inconvenience the situation has caused. Apologize, said Brocktar. For what? Trying to raid his ship? As Brocktar was saying that, he aimed his weapon out at the orc warrior. Apparently there was something more to this situation than what it appears to be, said Kelsortis. Meanwhile, in another dimension, the Gate Master had seen the recent events. It is time, said the Gate Master, that I meet Alan in person. That was where the Gate Master realized that if he was to leave the portals unwatched, creatures from all dimensions could cause chaos. How shall I meet Alan, said the Gate Master, without leaving the portals unwatched? Meanwhile, at the Kordrak cruiser, the orc warrior sent a message to Syntox, leader of the Shock Rangers clan, and to Captain Shordash of the cruiser Dragonfire. I still don't trust these orcs, said Brocktar. After witnessing the events in your home realm, I couldn't really blame you, said Kelsortis. Maybe you should let them have a chance to prove themselves. Maybe you're right, said Brocktar. Who knows? Maybe they might prove to be worthy allies. That was where Captain Sordash had contacted Dorgaris. Dorgaris, what is your status? Asked Captain Sordash. It seems that the orcs have stopped the attack, said Dorgaris, and the clan leader has sent one of his warriors to negotiate a possible alliance. Allow them to enter the ship, said Captain Sordas. But sir, said Dorgaris, they just attacked their ship. They may be able to prove themselves, said Sordas. I would have to agree with Sordas, said Cargardo. Then it's agreed, said Captain Sordas. Escort the warriors inside. That was where Syntox, leader of the Shock Rangers clan, came part from the Orc clan. So, your leader has decided to accept my proposal, said Syntox. Why, you slimy, said Broktar. Hold it, Broktar, said Alan. It seems your lizard man friend is a bit of a hothead, said Syntox. After Syntox said that, he started to head towards the Kordrack cruiser. Meanwhile, in the town of Chior, Eros was having a meeting in the main room of the town hall with his advisors. Sir, said one of the advisors, we must improve our defenses if we are to stand a chance against the forces of the undead. By the way, said another one of the advisors, how is your sister? The last I heard from her, what said Eros, was that she was headed to the Arch Mage's tower. I haven't heard from her since. Just then, Greetak the ogre had entered the scene. Greetak, said Eros, what in the realms are you doing here? You're supposed to be guarding the bridge. One of the advisors told me to see you, said Greetak. I had also made sure that the bridge was still being watched. Meanwhile, at Rotusor's base, Captain Golox and Kedordok had retreated from the base. That was unusual, said Officer Morgan. That was where Sir Dante Morgan had arrived on the scene, with the healer with him. Ah, comrade, said Sir Morgan, I have heard so much about you. How on earth do you know about me? Asked Officer Morgan. I have only just arrived here not long ago. Never mind that, said Sir Morgan. Let's get you guys healed up. That was where the healer had proceeded to heal Officer Morgan, Terras, and Rotusar. Meanwhile, back at the Kordrack cruiser, Syntox had been escorted to the ready room section of the cruiser. So what you're saying, said Captain Sordash, is that if we are to join forces with you, we would get the help of great warriors. Basically, said Syntox, not only that, my warriors know more about this land than even your recon patrol or even your probes could tell. How dare you insult our people? Exclaimed Sergeant Dorgaris. Dorgaris, you're doing it again, said Kelsorta. You're letting your pride call Jujutsu. Ha ha, said Syntox. It seems I riled up one of your troops. The boss tends to do that, said one of the Orc warriors. Yes, apparently so, said Kelsortis. Just then, Joseph had contacted Alan. Alan, said Joseph, what's your status? I'm inside the Kordrack cruiser, said Alan. The Orcs have stopped fighting against Kordrack. The Orcs have stopped fighting, said Joseph curiously. They're going over a proposal for an alliance, said Alan. Meanwhile, at the desert base of the barbarian tribe, the council has assembled. That was where Clint Orons, the king of the tribe, had stepped forward. Comrades, Clint Oron said, it is time for all the tribes to unite and stand against the oncoming forces of darkness. Sire, said Deronix. Yes, Deronix, said Clint. There seems to be a messenger waiting outside the borders, said Deronix. Allow them to enter, said Clint. That was where Deronix went to the outer gates and informed the messenger to come see the king in person. Meanwhile, at the Kordrack cruiser, the Kordrack captain Sordash and the Orc warrior Syntox had signed the alliance. This shall mark the beginning of a new era, said Syntox. Sir, said Mekator, Kordrack High Command is contacting the ship. Bring it on screen, said Captain Sordash. That was where the vid screen in the ready room came online. That Kordrack Commander-in-Chief Fortosis had contacted the crew. Captain Sordash, said Commander-in-Chief Fortosis. Commander Fortosis, said Captain Sordash. I was thinking of contacting you. I have had some bad news, said Fortosis. What would that be? Asked Captain Sordash. Our home planet, Dracronus, was destroyed, said Fortosis. By the gods, said Captain Sordash. When did this happen? It was an hour ago, said Fortosis. How could this happen, said Kotaris. Who has done such a thing? It was the Slortaxans, said Fortosis. Not only that, but a pirate crew. A pirate crew, said Cargarto. This is a dark day indeed, said Kelsortis. What is the pirate crew? Asked Cargarto. The crew is comprised entirely of humans, said Fortosis. Their captain is Amadeus Ironside. The ship's name is Gatronus. Humans, said Captain Sordash. I should have known better. Captain, said Calsortus, don't let your distrust of humans prevent a new era from dawning. Apparently humans had been responsible for the situation, said Captain Sordash. I say we deal with the humans. I wouldn't be so certain about the humans, said Calsortus. Not all humans are bad. Name an example, said Captain Sordash. One such human example is the human whom is with us, said Calsortus. What is his name? Asked Captain Sordash. I actually didn't get a chance to ask his name, said Calsortus. That was right, said Brockdar. Apparently you still haven't lost your comments, said Calsortus. That was where Alan had stepped forward. Human, what is your name? Asked Captain Sordash. It was Alan Arthur Stukov, replied Alan. Stukov, said Captain Sordash, how interesting. Sir, said Calsortus, we should start to rebuild our homeworld. That's a good idea, said Vortosis. Hey, wait a minute, said Alan. What's that? Asked Calsortus. Vortosis' name sounds familiar, replied Alan. What do you mean? Said Gotaris. Ah, so you recognize my voice, said Vortosis. Maybe this might help. As soon as Vortosis said that, he started to transform. What on earth? Said Alan as he watched Vortosis transform into a human form. That was where Vortosis had fully transformed into a human form. So do you recognize me now? Said Vortosis. What on earth? Said Alan. You can't possibly be my teacher. Indeed I was, replied Vortosis. What do you mean, Vortosis? Said Garto. I was once a teacher at a school on the planet of Earth, said Vortosis. It was there that I had taught history to a young Alan Stukov. Is that so? Said Captain Sordash. Apparently you seem to trust humans too much. Captain Sordash, said Vortosis, it seems you haven't lost your distrust of humans. I might have figured you would say so, said Captain Sordash. Now then, said Vortosis, let's get a move on. For what reason? Said Calsortus. Apparently the patrol has been interrupted, said Vortosis. Yes, we are getting to that, said Calsortus. Calsortus is right, said Darkaris, but we were sidetracked when we inadvertently entered a wormhole and entered into this dimension. Not only that, said Cargarto, we had also encountered the clan of orcs. Yes, and also the ship had suffered moderate damage around the ship, said Captain Sordash. We were doing the repairs when the orcs had attacked. Yes, said Vortosis. Well, you better get a move on. There's one last thing, said Calsortus. There's the matter of the Master of Zombies. The Master of Zombies, said Vortosis. Yes, the Master of Zombies, said Captain Sordash. All we know is that he's a dark being. Apparently so, said Vortosis. If you wish, you can remain in that dimension. We may need reinforcements, said Gotaris. We shall see what we can do, said Vortosis. When we have supplies for you, we shall warp it to you. What about troops? Said Dorgaris. Unfortunately, we can't spare any troops at the moment, said Vortosis. Why is that? Asked Dorgaris. For one thing, said Vortosis, most of the troops that were killed in the battle against the Sortaxans and the pirate crew. Of course, this realm may make a suitable location for an outpost, said Gotaris. You may be right, said Vortosis. Then we shall send you the data for the Alliance, said Captain Sordash. It shall be done, said Vortosis. When we have available supplies and troops, we shall warp them to you directly. Just then, a Kortrak warrior entered the room where Vortosis was located at. Sir, said Kortrak warrior. Yes, comrade, said Vortosis. All of the repairs have been completed, said the warrior. Most excellent, said Vortosis. Meanwhile, at Castle Director, King Anderson's daughter, Heather Anderson, had arrived at the castle. Finally, you have arrived, said Ortok. I was starting to get worried about you. How have you been? Asked Heather. I have been great, said Ortok, although these events have been a bit stressing, not only on me, but on the other residents of the castle. At that moment, Sir Dante Morgan had entered the area. Milady, said Sir Morgan, it is good to see you. It is good to see you too, said Heather. At that moment, King Anderson had entered the area. Father, said Heather, as she headed towards King Anderson. It is good to see you, said King Anderson. How was it with your uncle and cousin? It was excellent, said Heather. The Duke and Arthur sends his regards, sire, said one of the archers. Yes, what is it? Asked King Anderson. The heroes haven't returned from the object in the distance, said the archer. That was where Officer Morgan, Tyrrus, and Rotusa had started on their way to the crash-landed contract cruiser. I'll come along, said Dante. It's better that you stay here at the castle, said Tyrrus. Then allow us to help by sending troops, said Sir Morgan. That won't be necessary, said Officer Morgan. That was where the trio continued on their way. That was where Alex Johnson had arrived at the castle. Greetings, Alex, said King Anderson. Greetings, King Anderson, said Alex Johnson. Any news of the heroes? Asked King Anderson. I haven't heard it from Alan and Proctor, said Alex, or even Tyrrus and Officer Morgan. I have sent a messenger to the barbarian tribe. Excellent, said King Anderson. Do you really think that the barbarians would be a worthy ally? Of course, said Alex Johnson. The barbarians are strong warriors. Meanwhile, at the crash site of the contract cruiser, the orcs had left the ship. I'm surprised, said Calsortus. What do you mean? Asked Gotaris. I mean, I'm surprised that this situation hadn't gotten any worse than it was, said Calsortus. Whatever makes you say that? Said Broktar. When I was in Octiviox, I had encountered a clan of orcs, said Calsortus. I had found these orcs to be a bit brutish. Is that so, said Broktar? Of course, orcs can also make great allies, said Calsortus, even though orcs can be a bit brutish. Oh, really now, said Karkoto. Let's get going, said Darkaris. Meanwhile, at the Undead Keep, the battle knight had arrived at the keep. Quotor was waiting at the gate for him. What in the dark realms were you trying to do? Asked Quotor. Whatever do you mean? Said the battle knight. You know what I mean, said Quotor, as he looked at the battle knight with one eyebrow raised. That was where Gultor had appeared at the gate. Ah, Gultor, said Quotor. It's about time you got here. The Master of Zombies wants to see both of you immediately, said Gultor. Is that so? Said Quotor. Yes, indeed, said Gultor. That was where Gultor, Quotor, and the battle knight went into the Undead Keep. Meanwhile, at the base of the barbarian tribe, the king, Clint-Orons, had talked to the messenger. I shall consider the proposal, said Clint. Sire, said Duronix, we should be watching for the so-called heroes. So be it, said Clint. That was where one of the council members came towards Clint. King Oron, said the council member. Yes, said Clint. What? With all due respect, we don't really know what the heroes are all about, said the council member. And meanwhile, at the crash site of the contract cruiser, Alan had informed Joseph about the situation that had happened so far. Where is the Undead Keep? Asked Karkato. I'm not certain, said Calsortus. Perhaps we could ask the orcs. I can't believe this, said Broktar. Of all the possible situations, you suggest asking the orcs, even though when you said that you found them to be brutish in nature, at that moment an orc warrior had approached the ship. Sir, said helmsman Mekator, there's an orc warrior at the side of the ship. Patch the transmission to the ready room, said Captain Sordash. That was where helmsman and Mekator had patched the transmission to the ready room. Yes, Captain Sordash, said the orc. Yes, comrade, said Captain Sordash. What is it that you want? Signtalks had suggested that I come and help the heroes, said the orc. I can help by leading you to the Undead Keep. At that moment, Terrace, Rotusor, and Officer Morgan had arrived at the area. So, said Officer Morgan, this is the object that had been sighted. I wonder where Alan and Proctor are located, said Terrace. That was where the orc warrior had turned to face Terrace, Rotusor, and Officer Morgan. I should have figured, said the orc, as he waited for his axe. Terrace had gone for a bow and arrows. Wait a minute, said Rotusor. What do you mean? Asked Terrace. The orc may actually be trying to help the crew of the ship, said Rotusar. You may be right, said Officer Morgan. I say we let him have a chance. If you insist, said Terrace. That was where the orc had approached Terrace, Rotusar, and Officer Morgan. I'm quite surprised, said the orc. I thought that you would have fired up on me well a second thought. State the reason that You have approached the ship, said Rotusor. It is because my boss, Signtox, had sent me to lead a group of warriors to the Undead Keep, said the Orc. Is that so, said Rotusor. At that moment, the Alan and Brocktar had exited the cruiser. That was where Brocktar had noticed Rotusor. By the moons of Ardioch, said Brocktar. What do you mean by that, asked Alan. It's the Feaker Suite, said Brocktar. That was where the Orc warrior had approached Alan and Brocktar. Well, comrades, said Brocktar, let's get a move on. What about our mission of finding allies to help fight the Master Zombies and the Undead Forces, asked Alan. You're right, said Brocktar. As soon as Brocktar said that, he went back to the ship and acted calmly. Meanwhile, at the Undead Keep, Gultor, Quotor, and the Battle Knight had entered the main room of the keep. The Master of Zombies and Necro-Oracle were waiting in the room for them. Master, it is good to see you, said the Battle Knight, even after all these years. That was where an undead soldier had entered the room. Sir, said the undead soldier, we had captured several outlying towns that surround the plains of the Cordos. What about the search for the tomb of the Night Lord Joseph Barker, asked the Master of Zombies. Well, sir, said the undead soldier, they still haven't found the tomb yet. What? The Master of Zombies roars. This is unbelievable. They still haven't found the tomb. On the bright side, said the soldier, when we captured the towns, we had transformed a good deal of the population into zombies. Is that so? Said the Master of Zombies. Just then, Kadardoc and Captain Gulax had entered the room. About time the two of you had arrived, said Quotar. Yeah, that was why, said the Battle Knight. Sending in a couple of shambling corpses to do a warrior's job. We maybe reanimated corpses, said Captain Gulax, but we actually managed to do some damage to the heroes. Bah! Said the Battle Knight, who had only battled only two of an entire group of heroes. An entire group, said Captain Gulax. Yes, apparently there was all a clan of orcs and a crew of aliens in the area when I tried to contact the Battle Knight, said Quotor. How do you know such things, said Captain Gulax. Yes, said Dozok. Neither of us were at the site. You're not helping matters, said Captain Gulax. Oh, really now, said Dog. And I suppose that the tactic of charging at the human with the two guns was effective? Oh, said Captain Gulax, and I suppose that letting yourself be seen was any better? In that case, you two didn't notice that Quotar were on the same side. Oh, right, said Captain Gulax. In that case, in case any of you haven't noticed, said Necro-Oracle, the plans must proceed if we are to cover this realm in darkness. Meanwhile, at the Cordrak cruiser, Brocktar, Tyrus, Rotusor, Officer Morgan, Alan, and the Orc warrior had started on the way to the Undead Keep. Just then, Calsortus had caught up with them. Calsortus, said Brocktar, I'm surprised that you are coming with us. Captain Sordash figured that I would make a great representative on this mission, said Calsortus, even though he doesn't really trust humans. Why does Captain Sordash distrust humans, asked Alan. I'm not sure, said Calsortus, but he did mention something that happened several hundred years ago between him and a human. Several hundred years? Alan said curiously. Yes, said Calsortus. I guess you don't really know much about our people. Indeed, said Brocktar, the Cordrak can live for hundreds of years. Calsortus here is 1,000 years old. 1,000 years, said Tyrus. I'm surprised that Cordrak lived that long, said Officer Morgan. Guys, said Rotusor, it looks like the hills are about to curve over to the other side. It's not far now, said the Orc. Just what does this Undead Keep look like, asked Officer Morgan. Last time I was in the area, said the Orc, the place had been falling apart. Falling apart, said Rotusor, but when I had seen some undead creatures surround the place, said the Orc, upgrading place. They also placed some pieces of weaponry outside the gates. Pieces of weaponry, said Brocktar. It should be no problem. As soon as Brocktar said that, he shifted his weapon mount to long-range cannon mode. What kind of weaponry, said Calsortus. I've only seen the two guns placed outside the Undead Keep, said the Orc. It looks like they're long-range rifles. Both of the guns are operated by a team of 2 zombies each. At that moment, Joseph had contacted Alan. Alan, what is the status of your mission? I'm headed towards The Undead Keep, said Alan. Officer Morgan is here well. So are some of my new allies. Is that so? Said Joseph. Who are they, if you don't mind me asking? First of all, said Alan, we have Brocktar the cyborg lizard man, Tiras the ranger, Wartusar the warrior, Calsortus. Wait a minute, we didn't ask what the Arc warrior what his name is. Yeah, that's right, said Officer Morgan. My name is Optotorix, said Optotorix. Is that so? Said Calsortus. Yes, said Optotorix. And the Undead Keep is straight ahead. As soon as Optotorix said that, he aimed at the keep. Well, I'll be, said Officer Morgan. Said Joseph. Apparently, Optotorix wasn't kidding. Joseph had checked the database for any records on the weaponry. I say we take it on directly, said Brocktar. Hold it, Brocktar, said Calsortus. What do you mean? Asked Brocktar. There might be a weakness in the weaponry we might be able to exploit, said Calsortus. You made me right, said Officer Morgan. Just then one of the zombies had seen the heroes. Oh great, said Tiras, they spotted us. At that moment, Optotorix had charged the guns. For the glory of the clans, Optotorix exclaimed as he charged at the guns. Hold position, said Calsortus. All of a sudden, a mysterious force had taken out both of the teams of zombies. What in the realms was that? said Rotusar. I haven't the slightest, said Tiras. But whoever or whatever had caused it, it sure helped us. Yes, said Brocktar. And to think I had shifted my weapon mount to long-range cannon mode. Now I don't need to use it for the time being. Just what? Doesn't your cipher arm come attached to it? Said Officer Morgan. The kitchen sink for one thing, said Brocktar. I should have figured, said Officer Morgan. You must have learned that expression while you were on Earth, said Alan. You mean to tell us that Brocktar was on Earth? Said Officer Morgan. Of course, said Brocktar. It was in the late 19th century that I've been on Earth. The location was England. That was where Tiras had noticed the message near the remains of the gun emplacement. I wonder what's on the message, said Tiras. That was where Tiras went over and picked up the message. Hey, Tiras, said Officer Morgan. What's on the message you have there? Apparently it's in an elven language, said Tiras. Are you able to translate it? Asked Calsortus. I'll see what I can do, said Tiras. As soon as Tiras said that, she started to translate the message. Meanwhile, in Ceradus, the fire griffins had just started on their way. Little did they realize that there was someone watching them from the distance. It looks like the gang is headed towards the Undead Keep, said the person. If my instincts prove correct, they're going to be in danger. As soon as the person said that, he opened the portal. Meanwhile, back at the Undead Keep, Tiras had just finished translating the message. What does it say? Asked Brocktar. Apparently, said Tiras, it says that to stop the master of zombies, one needs the sword of the Night Lord Joseph Barker. What else does it say? Asked Officer Morgan. It says that the master of zombies has already placed the parts on the battleship, said Tiras. Not only that, it seems that the person has left several pieces of equipment. Any idea on the identity of our mystery ally, said Alan. As a matter of fact, said Tiras, it says the person's name is Sectus Skyscar. Sir, Sectus, said Calsortus, says sounds like a word we Kordak use. Oh, really now, said Brocktar. Could we get on with his mission? Just then, Sectus Skyscar her had appeared via a portal. Greetings, heroes, said Sectus. Hold it right there, said Officer Morgan. Wait, said Tiras. Allow him to explain himself. Thank you, said Sectus. As I was saying, I am the warrior known as Sectus Skysar. If you don't mind me asking, said Alan, but Calsortus had mentioned that your first name is a word in Kordak. What does that mean in English? Ah, inquisitive person, said Sectus. Sectus means warrior in Kordak. As soon as Sectus said that, he went over and picked up the pieces of equipment he left for the heroes. You may need these, said Sectus. That was where Sectus handed Officer Morgan several clips of ammo. Good thing you arrived with these clips, said Officer Morgan. I was about to run out of ammo, said. Indeed, said Sectus. I had a feeling that you would be needing them. After all, I had witnessed your fight with zombies. After Sextus said that, he turned to face Alan. Alan said, Sextus, I know that you intend on completing the mission, but I must warn you that the Master of Zombies knows that you are headed to his base. What do you mean? Asked Alan. I mean that the Master of Zombies had laid traps in advance, said Sextus. Not only that, but the battleship that the undead forces have constructed is not here. What do you mean the battleship isn't here? Said Officer Morgan. You mean to tell us that this search was in vain? Said Alan. Not all is not lost, said Sextus. I know where the battleship is being held in. At that moment, a zombie had spotted the heroes outside the keep. That was where the zombie had signaled for reinforcements. Oh, great, said Officer Morgan. We must get going. Understood, said Sextus. Before we go, Alan, here's your equipment. As soon as Sextus said that, he handed Alan a shotgun, a chainsaw, and a piece of metal plate armor. Interesting pieces of equipment, said Alan. Now can we get on with the mission, said Proctor. Hey, what about Retusor, Proctor, and me, said Cirrus. Yeah, she's right, said Octiviox. What about us? I hadn't expected to be more than 2 heroes, said Sextus. I couldn't really blame you, said Galsortus. I mean, that you must have heard of the legend of the heroes. If that is true, said Tyrus, then you must know the sword Omnolite and to role in this battle. Indeed, said Sextus. But the legend said that there's only a group of only two heroes. Could we get on with the mission, said Proctor. Proctor seems to have a point, said Calsotus. After all, we're here to stop the Master Zombies. He's right, said Optotorix. Let's get going before we are swarmed by shambling corpses. Good idea, said Alan. That was where the heroes had entered the Undead Keep. Meanwhile, in the mountain town of Ormurus, the townspeople were preparing the defenses. That was where a messenger had arrived at the main building. Sir, said one of the warriors, there's a messenger here for you. That was where the warrior escorted the messenger to the leader. The leader of the town is Mayor Reinhardt Jackson. So, this is the messenger you mentioned, said Reinhardt. What is it that you had to say? First of all, said the messenger, King Anderson requested that you would help him and his forces in the battle against the armies of the undead. Is that so, said Reinhardt? Then prepare a reply, saying that I will provide assistance. Just then, a dwarven warrior had entered the area. Sir, said the warrior said in his gruff voice, the defensive perimeter is set up. Excellent work, said Reinhardt. Is the tomb and the Night Lord Joseph Barker secured? Yes, aye, sir, said the warrior. Little did the warrior know that there was an undead scout spying on them. Meanwhile, back at the Undead Keep, the heroes had already passed by several corridors. All the while, Necro-Oracle was watching the situation. Necro-Oracle was in the observation room. That was where Quotor had entered the room. Necro-Oracle, said Quotor, I just wanted to... That was where Quotor had seen Necro-Oracle while his hood over his head. By the gods, said Quotor, it cannot be possible. Then you know who I truly am, said Necro-Oracle. That I am, in fact, a dark elf named Arcos Darkblade. That couldn't be possible, said Quotor. Arcos was killed 7,000 years ago. Indeed I was, said Necro-Oracle. However, I was resurrected by dark powers that even I don't understand completely. Is that so, said Quotor? Well, Quotor, said Necro-Oracle. Let's settle this when we were out of the way. What for? Asked Quotor. For what reason? I have a plan, said Necro-Oracle. I have set up an explosive for leveling this base. Not only that, I had managed to hire a giant cyclops to help in the plan to stop the heroes. This should be interesting, said Quotor. Yes, indeed, said Necro-Oracle, as he was putting his hood over his head. Now then, said Necro-Oracle, let's get going. Meanwhile, in another part of the Undead Keep, the heroes had managed to come across a room with 3 doors. Which way now, said Officer Morgan. I haven't the slightest, said Tyrus. What do you say, Proctor? I find it odd that you would ask me, said Proctor, even though Sextus might be better at this than I. I'm surprised that you would say that, said Sextus. I mean that you would be the ones to trust me completely, even though you guys don't really know much about me. Indeed, said Calsortus. Let's just choose a path and keep going, said Officer Morgan. Alright then, said Optotorix, let's choose the middle path. As soon as Optotorix said that, the heroes entered through the middle door. Little did the heroes realize that the doorway leading to the right leads to a secret passageway leading outside the keep. Meanwhile, in the main room of the keep, the giant cyclops was waiting for the heroes to arrive in the area. I wonder when they will arrive, said the cyclops. That was where Quotor had contacted the cyclops. General Quotor, said the cyclops. I didn't expect you to call. Yes, indeed, said Quotor. There was one thing I want you to do. What would that be? Asked Cyclops. I want you to set the explosives to explode in 60 minutes, said Quotor. Also, make sure the heroes don't make it out of the keep. Anything else? Asked the Cyclops. That is all, said Quotor. That was where the Cyclops had heard some footsteps in the distance. Said the Cyclops. Heroes must be nearby. That was where the heroes had arrived in the room. What on earth? Said Alan, as soon as he seen the Cyclops. Ah, human, said the Cyclops. What's this? Non-human creatures? There seems to be a rat man, an orc, 2 half-elves, a lizard man, and an alien here, said Quotor, along with the humans. I shall make sure they don't make it out, said the Cyclops. As soon as the Cyclops said that, he had set the explosives for 60 minutes. Oh, great, said Proctor. There's a bomb. I thought you would have experience in that, said Tiras. You think you're wise with your comments, said the Proctor. Just you wait and see. Guys, said Calsortus, it looks like we only have less than an hour to deal with both the bomb and the Cyclops. Calsortus is right, said Optotorix. I say that I will do the bomb diffusion. You guys try to hold off the Cyclops. That sounds risky, said Officer Morgan. I say we let him have a chance, said Rotusar. I'll help Optotorix. That was where Rotusar and Optotorix went to defuse the bomb. All the while, the Cyclops was chasing after Alan, Proctor, Tiras, Calsortus, Officer Morgan, and Sectus. At that moment, Joseph had contacted Alan. Alan, what's your status? Asked Joseph. I'm inside the Undead Keep, said Alan. The allies are here as well. Oh, there's just one setback. One setback, said Joseph. 2, in fact, said Alan. 1, a bomb is apparently set for 60 minutes, and 2, a giant cyclops. Is that so? Said Joseph. I just thought of something, said Calsortus. What's that? Asked Alan. What if we were able to convince the cyclops to help us? Said Calsortus. That might be crazy enough to work, said Rotusar, although I doubt if it will work. Then I shall be the person to attempt the plan, said Sectus. That was where Sectus had started to talk to the Cyclops. Comrade, said Sectus, why is it that you serve the forces of darkness? I was hired to do so, said the Cyclops, and I shall not follow my mission. Even if it means that you will go down with this keep, said Sectus. What do you mean? Asked the Cyclops. I mean that you will go down, said Sectus, when the bomb explodes. Yes, said Calsortus. In other words, you'll be sacrificing yourself to help the enemy. If what you say is true, said the Cyclops, then I shall help you. That was where the Cyclops had gone over to the bomb and attempted to deactivate the bomb. At that moment, the bomb started up again. Foolish heroes, said a voice from the column link next to the bomb. You think you can stop us? By the gods, said Sectus. It can't possibly be whom I think it is. What do you mean, Sectus? Asked Proctor. It is none other than Necro-Oracle, said Sectus. Indeed, it is I, Necro-Oracle, said Necro-Oracle. Who's Necro-Oracle? Asked Alan. Necro-Oracle is a dark oracle, said Sectus. He has lived for centuries. It is rumored that he feeds on the life force of others. Also, said Rotusar, it is rumored that no one has ever seen him wear his hood. Indeed, said Necro-Oracle. As for you, comrade, you are no longer needed. As soon as Necro-Oracle said that, he activated a remote which controlled the bomb. The countdown timer went from 35 minutes to 15 minutes. Oh, great, said Officer Morgan. What are we going to do now? I have an idea, said Cyclops. What's that? Asked Officer Morgan. There's a passage that exists under this keep. said the Cyclops. I'm not sure where it leads to, but it may be our way out up here. That sounds like a good idea, said Sextus. Let's get going. As soon as Sextus said that, the heroes went out of the main room and headed towards the room with the three passageways. Which way now? Asked Officer Morgan. It's this way, said the Cyclops as he pointed to the door on the right. Excellent, said Calsortus. Let's go. Right, said Brocktar. Alan and I should take up the front. As soon as Brocktar said that, he shifted his cybernetic optic sensor to infrared sight. This should be good, said Alan. As he was talking, Alan had put a couple of shells into the shotgun. As all the while, Necro-Oracle had warped in some troops to stop the heroes. Captain Abominus, said the Necro-Oracle. See to it that the heroes don't make it out of here. Yes, Master, said Captain Abominus. That was where Captain Abominus had moved into towards the location of the heroes. Meanwhile, at Castle Director, an orc warrior had arrived at the castle. There was a barbarian warrior at the castle. Greetings, comrade, said the barbarian warrior. You must be here to form an alliance with the humans, said the orc warrior. Indeed I am, said the barbarian warrior. You must be here for the same reason as well. Of course, said the orc warrior. At that moment, King Anderson had arrived in courtyard. Ah, greetings, comrades, said King Anderson. How have you been? We've been great, said the barbarian warrior. Wouldn't you agree with that? Indeed, said the orc warrior. Just then, Ortok had appeared. Sire, I was thinking, said Ortok, there might be a possible plan. What would that be? Asked Ortok. Asked King Anderson. The citizens of Chiar might be able to help, said Ortok. Anyway, said the orc warrior, both the barbarian and I are here on behalf of our respective people to usher in an alliance. Aye, said the barbarian warrior, even though I suspect Telsor and his clan would be reluctant in joining. I would think so, said King Anderson. Yes, said the barbarian warrior. Telsor's brother was killed by a knight. How did you know about it? Asked the orc warrior. I heard about it from Slow Talk Ironhammer, said the barbarian warrior. He said he heard it from a friend of his. At that moment, Princess Anderson had arrived at the courtyard. Jessie, said Princess Anderson. Is that you? Heather, said Jessie. I didn't expect to see you here. I thought you were with your uncle and cousin. I was, said Princess Anderson. Why are you here? Asked Jessie. Yeah, said the orc warrior. He's right. Uncle Arthur wanted to make sure I was safe, said Princess Anderson. Meanwhile, in the tunnels under the Undead Keep, the heroes had ventured into the lower levels. That was where Calsortus had attempted to contact the crew's cruiser Dragonfire. Comrade, said Calsortus, this is Calsortus reporting in. That was where Calsortus had noticed Calm Lake had sorted out. Bah, said Captain Calsortus, this thing must be low in energy. Either that, or it's had Brocktar, or these tunnels have a communications interference device in them. That was where Brocktar turned to face Alan. Hey, Alan, said Brocktar, see if your communications device works. That was where Alan had attempted to contact Joseph. What the? Said Alan as soon as he seen the Calm Lake short out. What happened? Said Rochusor. Apparently my Calm Lake is inoperative, said Alan, for the time being. Well, that's just great, said Officer Morgan. What are we going to do now? Not to worry, comrade, said Sextus. I have a plan. What would that be? Asked Brocktar. You guys forgot about my abilities, said Sextus, including telepathy. Oh, really now, said Brocktar. While the heroes were in the tunnels, the Fire Griffin's gang had arrived at the Undead Keep, only to find that it was about to blow up. That was where one of the bikers had started to approach the keep. Hold it, comrade, said Greg. I have a feeling something bad is about to happen. At that moment, the keep blew up. All bikers head for cover, said Greg. Fortunately, all 20 bikers had hidden behind the rocks. Is everyone safe? Said Greg. All present accounted for, Caleb. All are in one piece. Then let's get going, said Greg. Shouldn't we at least call Sergeant? Said David. Of course, said Greg. As soon as he said that, he called Sergeant. Meanwhile, in the tunnels under the Undead Keep, the heroes had progressed through the tunnels. So, Sextus said Rotusar. You hadn't told us much about yourself. Indeed, said Brocktar. Then I shall tell you about my history, said Sextus. As soon as Sextus said that, he had seen something in the distance. What in the realms was that? Said Rotusar. Scans show a human-like creature, said Brocktar. The closest I can figure is it is a troll. Wait a minute, said Cyclops. The only trolls in the undead forces that I know of are Fortox, undead troll, and Sotoxus, the dark troll. Fortox, said Rotusor. That name sounds familiar. Yes, that's because Fortox was at one time a friend of Gretak the Ogre, said Tyrus. At that moment, the creature showed himself. By God, said Octiviox. Mwahaha, said the creature. So you figure out who I am. Indeed, said Tyrus. You are in fact Fortox. Indeed, said Fortox, but your quest ends here. As soon as Fortox said that, he went right for Alan with both hand axes. Alan, duck out of the way, said Tyrus. Alan had managed to duck out of the way, also managing to fire off a couple of shots. One shot had hit Fortox in the shoulder. Oh, Fortox exclaimed in pain as he clenched his left arm. You shall pay for this, human, said Fortox as he charged Alan. Fortox had taken a swipe at Alan with one of his axes. Alan, watch out, said Tyrus. That was where Alan had managed to move the metal plates of the armor in the path of the axe. That resulted in one of the axes being broken. You shall pay for this, human, said Fortox. I wouldn't be so sure, said the Cyclops. At that moment, Fortox was surrounded by the heroes. You heroes shall not defeat me, said Fortox. Care to try, said Officer Morgan. You shall not stop the Master of Zombies, said Fortox. How could you fall so far from the light, said Tyrus. You were once a noble warrior, fighting alongside your old friend, Greetax the Ogre. Bah, said Fortox, do you really think I would willingly betray my friend? You mean to tell us you're not a traitor, said Alan. I say we deal with him immediately, said Brocktar. I wouldn't be so certain, said Sextus. I have plans. What would that be? asked Alan. We have a leader of the undead forces here, said Rotusar. Exactly my point, said Sextus. Where are you going with this? asked Brocktar. We will try to interrogate Fortox and get the whereabouts of the Master of Zombies, said Sextus. Yeah, that's an excellent idea, said Alan. With that data, we can find the two parts that have been stolen from the military base from Earth. I would have to agree with Alan, said Officer Morgan. This could be advantageous. All the while above the tunnels and outside the remains of the Undead Keep, the Fire Griffins had gotten their new instructions. All right, boys, said Greg. Let's get going. Hey, Greg. Where are we headed to now? asked David. Sergeant said the location lies up to the north, said Greg. It's a place called the Fort of the Dead. Then why did you have that confused look on your face, asked David. That's because Sergeant had first said the name of the location in their language, said Greg. The language he used was a dialect of Troll. What was the place called in Troll? asked Caleb. That would be Nirtios Dox Farius, said Greg. Anyway, said David, let's get going. As soon as David said that, the gang started on their way to the Fort of the Dead. Meanwhile, in the tunnels, the heroes managed to get the information they needed. At that moment, Captain Bombos and the troops had arrived. Oh, great, said Officer Morgan. Finally, said Fortox, the odds are now stacked against you. I wouldn't be so sure, said Brocktar. As soon as Brocktar said that, he grabbed a hold of Fortox. Troops, hold your fire, said Captain Bombos. All of a sudden, Fortox had hit Brocktar right in the midsection. That resulted in Brocktar loosening his grip long enough for Fortox to escape. We shall meet each other soon, said Fortox as he was running towards the exit. You won't be getting too far, said Sextus as he tossed the homing device on Fortox. At that moment, the undead troops in the tunnels attacked the heroes. Heroes' defensive position, said Tyrus. At that moment, the Cyclops had hit the wall. What was that for? asked Officer Morgan. Let's clear out of here, said Cyclops. I'll hold them off. If you insist, said Brocktar. We shall go, said Call Soldiers. That was where all of the heroes except for the Cyclops had started on their way out of the tunnels. Your efforts shall not be in vain, said Call Soldiers. Come on, let's get going, said Brocktar. I shall stay here with the Cyclops, said Octiviox. You go along with the others, said the Cyclops. I shall catch up with you later. All right, Desmond or Tussor? That's where the heroes were Dr. Fortox. How far is it now? Asked Alan. I haven't the slightest, said Officer Morgan, but we'll find out soon enough. All the while, Fortox was activating the mechanism for the exit. I shall be out of here finally, Fortox said to himself, and I don't have to deal with these so-called heroes. Meanwhile, outside the tunnels, the fire griffins had reached the outskirts of the towns surrounding the plains of Cordos. How far is it to the Fort of the Dead? Asked David. Our sergeant says it's only 3 days ride from here, said Greg. Whatever that means. That was where an ogre had appeared. Oh, great, said Dwayne. Let me handle this, said Caleb. That was where Caleb stepped forward to deal with the ogre. We come in peace, said Caleb. We are here on a mission to stop the master of zombies. Tell him about the location we are headed to, Caleb, said David. Yeah, right, said Caleb. We are headed to a place called the Fort of the Dead. Is that so? Said the ogre. I know of someone who can help. Who is this person which you speak of? Asked Caleb. You'll find out soon enough, said the ogre. Meanwhile, on the tunnels, all the heroes set for the Cyclops had made it in time to see Fortox enter the mechanism to leave the tunnels. That was where Fortox turned to face the heroes. If you plan on getting these parts, said Fortox, you're too late. Not if we can help it, said Officer Morgan. As soon as Officer Morgan said that, he charged at Fortox. At that moment, Fortox's comrades had arrived. Commander Fortox, said Captain of the transport. Get a move on, sir. That was where Fortox headed to the transport. Until next time, heroes, said Fortox as he boarded the transport. Officer Morgan, hold position, said Cal Soldiers. But Officer Morgan didn't listen. He grabbed a hold of Fortox just when Fortox stepped into the transport. By the gods, said Cal Soldiers, this cannot be. At that moment, the transport started his head to the Fort of the Dead. Oh, great, said Rotusor. They're getting away. Not if I can help it, said Brocktar. As soon as he said that, he targeted the transport. Hold your fire, said Terrace. Officer Morgan's in that ship. Oh, right, said Brocktar. At that moment, Octiviox had arrived. Octiviox, said Brocktar. What happened? I have some bad news, said Octiviox. The Cyclops had died. By the gods, said Calsortus, this is a dark day indeed. What shall we do now? Asked Brocktar. I have an idea, said Rotusor. What would that be, Rotusor? Asked Terrace. I know of someone who can help us, said Rotusor. He is Tlotok's Ironhammer, a goblin. Where does he reside? Asked Terrace. He resides in the area to the east of here, said Rotusor. Let's get a move on, said Octiviox. I just hope Officer Morgan's all right, said Terrace. Of course he'll be all right, said Alan. I know him for years. If you say so, said Terrace. At that moment, the heroes. That was where the heroes went to Tlotok's Ironhammer's base. All the while on the transport Officer Morgan had been surrounded by several ghouls. All right, you rotting pieces of flesh, said Officer Morgan. You and your masters shall not conquer this realm. All of a sudden, Officer Morgan was hit in the back of the head by a zombie. That ought to keep him quiet, said the zombie. Meanwhile, the heroes had made it to Tlotok's Ironhammer's base. At that moment, Sergeant and Skaltakas had appeared. That was where the heroes were taken off guard by their appearance. Sergeant, said Terrace. I might have figured you would be around. However did you know, said young Terrace, said Sergeant. I could sense your dark energy, said Terrace. You must know my history and my role as it involves in the territory wars, said Sergeant. Yeah, I heard the news, said Terrace. You betrayed the humans to the orcs. Hey, do you mind, said Octiviox. Right, Octiviox, said Terrace. I have also heard the news, yet you helped the Shock Rangers clan get some new weapons. Indeed, I have done so, said Sergeant, and now your quest ends here. Yeah, like he said Skaltakas. As soon as Skaltakas said that, he raised his battle axe. At that moment, Tlotok's Ironhammer had appeared. Tlotok, said Sergeant, as he turned to face Tlotok. I didn't expect to see you here. Nor I, said said Solzox. Now be gone from here. Not likely, said Ice Sergeant. All of a sudden, Ice Sergeant had tossed an energy ball at Toltox. Fortunately, Toltox had managed to dodge the attack. Now it's time to teach you a lesson, said Toltox. As soon as Toltox said that, he pressed a button on his wrist-mounted computer system. What's happening now? Asked Alan. Toltox is armoring up, said Rotosaur. Armoring up, Alan said curiously. Indeed, said Rotosaur. That was where Toltox had completed the armoring up sequence. In his armored mode, Toltox stood over 8 feet in height. That was where there are weapon systems over most of the robotic armor. I shall not ask you this, said Toltox. You two must leave here and never return. Make us, said Skaltocus. Stubborn Minotaur, said Ice Sergeant. That was where Skaltocus charged at Toltox. All of a sudden, Toltox lifted Skaltocus off the ground. Toltox then tossed Skaltocus out of the area. By the gods, exclaimed Ice Sergeant, you shall not beat me. As soon as Ice Sergeant said that, he launched another energy ball. The energy ball hit Toltox directly in the armor. Toltox retaliated by using his grappling hook mechanism. Toltox had tossed Ice Sergeant to the ground. What do we do now? Asked Alan. I suggest we try to find a mode of transportation, said Rotosaur. If you're looking for a mode of transportation, said Toltox, there's one on the launch pad. That does it, said Ice Sergeant. I shall use my ultimate attack. As soon as Ice Sergeant said that, he raised his staff in preparation for his ultimate attack. The ultimate attack is Omega Storm. Now you shall fall, said Ice Sergeant. Boom! A shot rang out, and Ice Sergeant's staff was broken in two. Everyone looked over directly at Alan. Alan was holding the double-barreled shotgun, which was smoking. That was where Alan cleared the smoke from the barrels. Now you know, said Alan, you should listen to the goblin. You foolish weakling, said Ice Sergeant, as he planted his staff to the ground. Don't you know how long it took to create this berry staff with the best type of wood and special type of crystal which was available? Your point, said Alan. You shall pay for this, said Ice Sergeant. I don't think so, said Toltox. As soon as Toltox said that, he went for Ice Sergeant. You think that I could be beaten so easily, said Ice Sergeant. We shall meet again. As soon as Ice Sergeant said that, he summoned the Griffin. The Griffin swooped down to pick up Skaltocus. This isn't the last time you'll see me, said Ice Sergeant, as he was riding off. Shouldn't we chase after him, said Alan. Not to worry, human, said Brocktar. I have a feeling that he'll be facing a larger threat. Meanwhile, in another dimension, the Gate Master was watching the events. Most impressive, said the Gate Master. That was the gate where the Gate Master noticed some of the events on another one of the view screens. I have a bad feeling about this, said the Gate Master. The situation that the Gate Master was referring to was the fight Griffins had made it within the borders of the Undead territory. I had better tell the heroes about this, said the Gate Master. That was where the Gate Master went over to the communications console. Meanwhile, at Toltox's base, the heroes had met Toltox. At that moment, the call came over the communications console. I'll be right back, said Toltox. That was where Toltox went over to the communications console. I'm surprised that you did that, said Brocktar. Yeah, said Optotorix. I thought that Brocktar would be the one to try something like that. Do you mind, said Brocktar? The most unusual things happen in this dimension, said Calsortus. At that moment, Joseph had contacted Alan. Alan, said Joseph, where on earth have you been? The troops were getting concerned. Even the President had contacted this base. The President, said Alan? Well, the Allies and I were in the tunnels under the keep. Yeah, there must some sort of device that blocked communication, said Brocktar. Yeah, said Optotorix. Not only that, we had a new ally join our side for a while, until his death. You mean the Cyclops helped you, said Joseph? Yes, indeed, said Optotorix. He sacrificed himself to help us. Yes, said Calsortus. He died honorably. That was where Toltox had come back from being inside the base. Guys, said Toltox, there's someone you should meet. All right, said Alan, we're coming. That was where the heroes had entered Toltox's base. All right, who is it you are referring to? asked Proctor. It is none other than the Gate Master, said Tlalotox. Gate Master, said Proctor. I didn't expect to see you. Indeed, said the Gate Master. You must be Alan Stookoff. Indeed I am, said Alan. So, said Calsortus, you are the Gate Master. Gate Master, said Proctor. We found that the undead forces have already installed the 2 stolen parts on the flying battleship. Yes, said the Gate Master. I also know that the Piker Gang, the Fighter Griffins, had already made it into undead territory. The Fighter Griffins, said Alan. I can't believe this. They're here. Not to worry, said the Gate Master. I have a feeling that they will have their hands full. What do you mean? Asked Alan. The Pikers are about to be overwhelmed, said the Gate Master. You think that's good? Said Proctor. They'll come back as undead, said Calsortus. If they die, Calsortus is right, said Optotorx. Not to mention, said Terrace, Officer Morgan is missing in action. Yes, said Alan. Officer Morgan ended up on a transport ship. Yes, said the Gate Master. I know about that. What are we going to do about it? Asked Alan. First of all, said the Gate Master, you heroes must find this Omnolite. We already know about that part, said Optosaurus. Apparently so, said the Gate Master. If you must know the location of the sword is in Before the Gate Master could finish the sentence, the group of undead forces had arrived. Among the group was Air Commander Saltoxis. All right, heroes, Saltoxis said with a slight growl in his voice. Come out and surrender. We shall not harm you. Not likely, said Optotorix. As soon as Optotorix said that, he headed towards the door. Hold it, Optotorix, said Sextus. I have a plan. What would that be? Asked Proctor. It is a psychic diversion plan, said Sextus. Psychic diversion, said Calsortus. I have witnessed that very maneuver several centuries ago. Where was that? Calsortus asked Rotusar. It was on the planet Pertok, said Calsortus. It was when the rebel forces had been trapped in an outpost. Yes, indeed, said Calsortus, said Sextus. I had learned that maneuver from a Pertoxian mercenary. Whatever happened to their people? Asked Optotorix. Unfortunately, said Calsortus, their people were destroyed by a neighboring civilization. What was that civilization? Said Rotusar. The civilization in question is the Lupinoids, said Calsortus. They are a race of humanoid wolves. Their single purpose is to fight and conquer anything and everything. Yes, said Sextus. Whatever they can't conquer, they destroy completely. How tragic, said Terrace. So, what's plans? Asked Alan. First I shall create an illusion of us supposedly surrendering, said Sextus. That's where Tlalotox activates the defenses. I see, said Alan. We would get the elements of surprise. That was where Tlalotox went over the controls for the defenses. Defenses are ready, said Tlalotox, awaiting new commands. On my mark, said Sextus. As soon as Sextus said that, he focused his psychic energy in creating the illusions. After he did that, the illusions started on their way out of the base. Said Saltoxis. This seems too easy. That was where Saltoxis motioned for a couple of undead soldiers to examine the situation. Oh, great, said Alan. They're going to figure out the plan. Not if I have anything to say about it, said Optotorix. As soon as Optotorix said that, he charged right out of the door. Hot-headed orc, said Proctor. He's going to get killed. Huh? Said Saltoxis. It's a trick. Saltox, let him have it full force, said Sextus. You got it, said Tlalotox. That was where Tlalotox pressed the button to activate the base's defenses. All the while, at the bridges not far from Castle Director, a group of human, orc, and Quadrak warriors had set up defenses there. Meanwhile, at Castle Director, the mercenary Captain Douglas Mortensen had arrived. Captain King Anderson, said Captain Morrison. As he was saying this, he stuck out his hand. His right hand has been augmented with a cybernetic hand. Captain Mortensen, said King Anderson. It's good to see you. Aye, said Ortok. It's a shame that you had that cybernetic hand. At least it's helpful, said Captain Morrison. It's a good thing you have arrived, said Princess Heather Anderson. Yeah, said the Orc warrior. We need all the allies we could get. Indeed, said Clint Anasazi. Ever since I heard about the situation, I was sure that we would get a mission in this dimension. So, King Anderson, said Captain Morrison, how is it with the planning? All the defenses at the bridges have been placed, said King Anderson. Aye, said Ortalk. No one will be able to get past these defenses. I just hope you're right, said Alex. At that moment, a human soldier and a courtyard warrior had entered the courtyard. Comrades, said the courtyard warrior, all of the main defenses have been placed. Excellent, said King Anderson. What sort of defenses? Asked Ortalk. Let's see, said the courtyard warrior. The orcs have offered their Griantor riding warriors. Not only that, said the human soldier, but the defenses also include the defensive gun emplacements that both the orcs and the courtyard allies offered. Is that so, said Alex? Yeah, said the orc warrior. I have heard that the barbarian tribe had raised their defenses just off of their base. Meanwhile, at the bridges, the warriors had set up the remaining parts of the defenses. That was where one of the warriors on the watchtower had noticed something in the distance. Wait a minute, said the warrior. It looks like there's a fight going on in an area not far from the remains of the keep. The keep, said another warrior. I had better use the viewscope. As soon as the warrior said that, he used the viewscope. Well, said the other warrior, what is it that you see? Apparently you're right, said the warrior. There is a fight. That is where Sir Dante Morgan had arrived on scene. Sir, said the first warrior, there just seems to be a fight going on not far from the remains of the keep. Are you able to see anyone recognizable? Said Sir Dante. I could only make out one individual, said the first warrior. He seems to be wearing what seems to be robotic armor. Robotic armor, said Dante. That sounds like Solotog's the Iron Hammered Goblin. Solotog, said the warrior. Yes, said Dante. I knew him for years. Is that so? Said an orc warrior as he was sharpening his battle axe. You listen here, said Dante, said the orc warrior. You better hold your tongue if you know what's good for you. Why should I? Said the orc as he stood up and grabbed his battle axe in his right hand. At that moment, Sir Dante Morgan and the orc warrior started circling each round, with both of them facing each other with their weapons ready. Just then, a courtyard warrior had stepped in to stop the fight. Stop! Hold it, both of you, said courtyard warrior said. We're on the same side. Bah! Said the orc. I have no time for this. Let me at him, said the hot-headed orc, said the courtyard warrior. Can't you see any moment now we could have untold numbers of undead soldiers on our footsteps? Your point, said the orc warrior. I can't believe this, said the courtyard warrior. Don't you get my point? Our mission is to defend this pivotal spot. Bah, said the orc warrior. Why would I even bother with this foolish talk? That was where the orc warrior started to head towards the bridge. That's it, said the orc warrior. I'm out of here. Hold it, Chaldor, said Tarkonis. What is it, Tarkonis? Asked Chaldor. I just wanted to say, said Tarkonis, is that you're making a big mistake by going. What do you mean? Asked Chaldor. If you go out there, said Tarkonis, there's no telling if you would have a fateful encounter with the undead. Not only that, there's no telling what sort of dark forces are also at work in addition to the undead. Just then, an orc, a dwarf, and an elf had arrived at the defenses. Halt, said one of the warriors on the watchtower. Who go there? We are warriors from the town of Ormur, said the dwarf warrior. Ormur, said Dante. It's about time, they responded. It's already late afternoon. What did you expect, said the dwarf warrior. It's not easy being me. Not only that, said the elf, but we ran into some undead troops along the way. Aye, said the dwarf, but we took care of them easily. Let's get to business, said Dante. That was where Dante escorted the dwarf and the elf into the castle. Meanwhile, at Tolotox's base, the undead forces retreated from the area. That was easy, said Alan, but they will be back in force, said Sextus. Yes, said Calsortus. I have a feeling we shall soon see the undead forces converge on the castle. By the way, said Alan, the gate master said something about the town that started with the letters O-R. That sounds like the mountain town of Ormur, said Rotusor. Ormur, said Tyrus. That town resides to the north of the area. Then let's get going, said Alan. Indeed, said Soldox. But before we go, there's someone I'd like to you to meet. At that moment, a figure enters the room. By God, said Calsortus, it cannot be. Who are you talking about? Asked Alan. A fell drag warrior is here, said Calsortus. Fell drag, said Alan. Yes. Veldraks are a hybrid race of Feliaxars and Kordrak, said Calsortus. They are very rarely seen. What are the Feliaxars? Asked Alan. The Feliaxars are a race of humanoid felines, said Calsortus. They are known for their cleverness. Not only that, said Sextus, but they have developed psionic powers. They have a capitalistic government. Yes, said the Veldrak, very perceptive. You must know about our advanced transportation. Yes, said Calsortus. I have heard of the technology. I have one such piece of technology here, said Toltox. It's on the launch pad. What do you mean, said Alan. It is a Veldrak Cosmo Fighter, said Toltox. I was working on the vehicle before you guys even arrived here. Yes, said the Veldrak warrior. Even though Toltox did not have all the regular components that are compatible with such a vehicle, this should be interesting, said Brocktar. That was where the heroes went to the launch pad. Meanwhile, at the Fort of the Dead, the Master of Zombies was addressing the troops. We shall conquer all the realms, said the Master of Zombies. None shall stand before our might. All the while, Necro-Oracle was standing waiting in the shadows. Soon, said Necro-Oracle, I will have my revenge. At that moment, Quotor entered the area. Arcos, I mean, Necro-Oracle, said Quotor. I have found the location of the sword called Omnolite. Excellent, said Necro-Oracle. Are the mercenaries in place? Yes, said Necro-Oracle. What? Yes, said Quotor. What's the next part? Said. Hold thy thought, Quotor, said Necro-Oracle. I'm needed. That was where Necro-Oracle stepped to the podium. My comrade, said Necro-Oracle, the time is upon us. We shall finally cover this realm in darkness. At that moment, all the undead troops in the fort started getting riled up. Most excellent, said the Master of Zombies. All the troops are ready. Yes, said Necro-Oracle. Soon I shall rule this realm. What was that, Necro-Oracle? Said the Master of Zombies. Nothing, sire, said Necro-Oracle. That was where Necro-Oracle went into the fort's main room. That was where Quotor met with Necro-Oracle. Sir, said Quotor, the mercenaries are on hold in the view screen in the quarters. Excellent, said Necro-Oracle. At that moment, the Fire Griffin's biker gang has arrived at the fort. What's this, said the Master of Zombies. There seems to be a biker gang outside the fort, said the Battle Knight. Let them in, said the Master of Zombies. But sir, said the Battle Knight, I said let them in, said the Master of Zombies. If you insist, said the Battle Knight. That was where the Battle Knight went to the gates. All the while, Necro-Oracle was dealing with the mercenaries. Each of the mercenaries was from a different group of people. One mercenary was a Croctarian, one mercenary was a Cartior, one was a Clartoxian, and one is a Tersonicor. Sir, said the Croctarian mercenary, what is it that you need us for? Yes, because I have a plan of revenge, said Necro-Oracle. All the while, in the main section of the fort, the bikers were fighting the undead troops. Their fight is losing one, however. Greg, said David. What are we going to do? We keep fighting for one thing, said Caleb. As he was speaking, he slammed a couple of zombies' head together. Meanwhile, the heroes had gone into the area of the town of Armors. That was where one of the sentries had noticed the Cosmo Fighter was in the area. At that moment, the sentry notified the mayor of the town. As soon as Mayor Jackson had gotten the news, he went over to the communications post. Unidentified aircraft, said Mayor Jackson. Identify yourself. You are in Amrusian airspace. This is Cosmo Fighter Alpha 27, said the Veldrak warrior. We are here to retrieve the sword Omnolite. Omnolite? Yay? He said. Mayor Jackson, not likely. Why not? Asked the Veldrak warrior. Yeah, said Brocktar. Why can't we get the sword? I will have to agree with Brocktar, said Rotusor. Rotusor, said Mayor Jackson. Is that you? Of course, said Rotusor. I didn't expect to see you here, said Mayor Jackson. So, said Rotusor, I would like to say on behalf of the heroes that we request clearance to land. For our friends, said Mayor Jackson, clearance to land is allowed. Excellent, said Rotusor. That was where the heroes proceed to land in the town of Almers. Meanwhile, in the town of Chior, heroes had prepared the team to Go to Castle Director. That was where Greatek had entered the room. Sir, said Greatek, there's a messenger here to see you. Send the messenger in, said Eros. Meanwhile, at the Castle Director, the crew of the Cordrack cruiser Dragonfire had arrived. Lieutenant Gotara, said Captain Sordash. What? Tell me again why we should trust these humans? Do not let the fact that a space pirate crew consisting of humans whom destroyed our planet stop a new era from dawning, said Lieutenant Gutierrez. That was where the human mercenary Captain Douglas Morrison had approached Captain Sordash. Greetings, comrades, said Captain Morrison. I am Captain Douglas Morrison. A human, said Captain Sordash as he reached for his plasma saber. I should have known better. Hold it, Captain, said Lieutenant Gutierrez. Like Lieutenant Gotara said to the Sergeant Drogaris, let's not do anything we'll regret. If you insist, said Captain Sordash as he sheathed his plasma saber. Meanwhile, back at Ormuz, the heroes had landed on the landing pad. The heroes had been also introduced to the governing council. So, said Major Jackson, you say one of your teammates is in enemy territory? Yes, said Kelsochas. Hopefully, Officer Morgan will make it come back alive. Indeed, said Tyrus. Meanwhile, at the Fort of the Dead, Officer Morgan found himself in the fort. All right, said Officer Morgan to himself. Where am I? That was where Officer Morgan turned to face the figure whom had just entered the area where Officer Morgan was at. The figure is none other than Necro-Oracle. Wait a minute, said Officer Morgan. You're Necro-Oracle. Indeed I am, said Necro-Oracle. That was where Officer Morgan had attempted to charge at Necro-Oracle, but was tossed against the wall. All right, Necro-Oracle, Officer Morgan said as he was getting back up. You won't get any information from me. That's not why I'm here, said Necro-Oracle. Why is it that you are here? Asked Officer Morgan. Believe it or not, said Necro-Oracle, we are in a way on the same side. What do you mean? Asked Officer Morgan. You don't know about my history, said Necro-Oracle. I was once a dark elf by the name of Arcos Darkblade. Oh, really now? Said Officer Morgan. What is your involvement with the Master of Zombies? I was killed by the Master of Zombies, said Necro-Oracle. Soon I found myself alive once more. It was by forces outside most people's understanding that resurrected me. Oh, really now? Said Officer Morgan. What is my role in this matter? You are stumbled on our plan, said Necro-Oracle. I cannot allow you to leave. On the other hand, I might need you to help in my plans of revenge. That was where the Master of Zombies entered the room. Necro-Oracle, said the Master of Zombies. The battleship is ready to launch. Excellent, said Necro-Oracle. I shall be with you very shortly. That was where the Necro-Oracle proceeded to escort Officer Morgan into the cells in the fort. All the while, he secretly handed Officer Morgan 2 keys. What are these for? Said Officer Morgan. You will soon find out, said Necro-Oracle, but for now keep quiet. As Necro-Oracle and Officer Morgan were heading to the cells, the Master of Zombies had started heading to the battleship. The Master of Zombies said to himself. The Necro-Oracle is stacked and strange. Just then, a Necro-Guard had entered in the area. Sire, said the Necro-Guard, I have some good news and some bad news. What do you mean? Asked the Master of Zombies. It's about the biker gang, said the Necro-Guard. We were able to zombify 19 of the 20 bikers. Is that so? Said the Master of Zombies. Not only that, said the Necro-Guard, the remaining biker, the one whom the bikers called Kale Brainer, had escaped. Let him go, said the Master of Zombies. He is of no concern to us. If you insist that the Necro-Guard. Meanwhile, back in Ormuz, the heroes were led to the tomb of the Night Lord Joseph Barker. From this point on, said Major Jackson, you shall not get any help until you get the sword. Oh, great, said Alan. Look on the bright side, Brocktar. It could be worse. Even after all this time, said Kelsochus, your sense of humor has not changed. Very funny, comrade, said Brocktar. Let's get going. Hold it, said Major Jackson. Only one of you may enter the tomb. What in the realms are you talking about? Asked Brocktar. Yeah, said Octiviox. Brocktar's right. According to what the Night Lord Joseph Barker had said 175 years ago, said Major Jackson. Only one person can go for the tomb to prove themselves worthy to wield the sword omnolite. I shall be the one person to enter the tomb, said Alan. Hold it, Alan, said Calsortus. Do you think it's a good idea to enter the tomb? I would have to agree with Calsortus, said Sextus. Someone else should enter the tomb. In case you didn't notice that, Terrace Allen is one of the destined warriors. If that is true, said Major Jackson, he should enter the tomb. Excellent, said Octiviox. Then settled. Oh, great, said Alan. You guys are getting carried away with the situation. That was where all of the heroes except for Alan looked over at Alan. Oh, great, said Alan. Yeah, oh, well, if you insist. That was where Alan proceeded into the tomb. I just hope he makes it out all right, said Terrace. I sense you have feelings for him, don't you? Said the Feldrag warrior. It's just that, said Terrace, I haven't seen a human like him before. Indeed, said Calsortus. Alan is an unusual person, but he may be the best hope for this realm. Yes, said Sextus, I would say so. Meanwhile, in the tomb, Alan had started on his path. This should be interesting, said Alan to himself. As he was walking, Alan had noticed some footsteps on the path. I had better be ready for anything, said Alan. At that moment, Alan stepped on a floor panel. The floor panel activated a dart trap. Alan had managed to deflect the dart using the metal plate armor. That was close, said Alan. I better be more careful from now on. After he said that, Alan proceeded farther into the tomb. All the while, events were unfolding outside the tomb. This should be interesting, says Caltortus. That's where one of the sentries spotted an aircraft in the distance. That aircraft was piloted by the Croctorian mercenary, the Cartiorian mercenary, the Clartoxian mercenary, and the Tessalonicoran mercenary were in the with them. Comrade Corzon, said the Cartiorian mercenary. The location Necro-Oracle is told us is coming up. Indeed, that Autorusk, said Corzon. Corzon, said Lycorchus, the Clartoxian mercenary. Did you know something strange about Necro-Oracle? I didn't notice a thing, said Corzon. Why did you ask? It's just that I had this weird feeling about Necro-Oracle, said Lycorchus. I would have to agree with Lycorchus, said Autorusk. That was where Autorusk turned to face Sor Cortox. Comrade, said Autorusk. What seems to be the matter? It's just that, said Sor Cortox, my girlfriend had just written to me just yesterday before we went to this dimension. Oh, said Autorox, I am quite surprised to see that you have a girlfriend. Yes, said Cortox, I agree with Autorox. Guys, said Corzon, we are at the location. Prepare to land. Right, said Autorox. That was where the aircraft landed outside the wall. Corzon, said Autorox, would you do the honors? It would be my favorite, growled Corzon. As soon as Corzon said that, he charged right at the wall. Warriors, said the sentry, counterattack. The warriors started the counterattack. Their counterattack proved that little effect at all against Corzon. By the gods, said one of the warriors, the creature doesn't seem to be going down. At that moment, Corzon had reached the gates of the wall. Excellent, said the Torask. Any moment now the wall shall fall. A Torask, said Torcox. Shall we join in with Corzon? Indeed, said a Torask. All the while the heroes, except for Alan, had been alerted to the presence of the mercenaries. Little did they realize that the mercenaries had a Sorreno with them. Is it time to unleash the Sorreno? Said the Torcox. Indeed it is, said the Torax. As soon as the Torax said that, he went over and unlocked the cell that held the Sorreno. By the gods, said one of the warriors, the Sorreno. Corzon, said the Torax. Fall back. Understood, said Corzon. I can't believe this, said Sextus. A Sorreno. Indeed, said Rotusor, I shall stop this myself, said Sextus. As soon as Sextus said that, he had climbed the wall and focused his psionic powers, energy, and brought it upon the Sorreno. Meanwhile, in the tomb, Alan had made it well into the tomb. Said Alan, that was interesting. Just then, several skeletons had arisen from the ground. Oh, great, said Alan. As soon as Alan said that, he loaded another couple of shells into the shotgun. At that moment, the skeletons charged at Alan. Alan had managed to dodge out of the way. Alan had returned fire against the skeletons. All of a sudden, the skeletons had fallen to the ground. That was easy, said Alan. At that moment, the skeletons had reassembled to do battle once more. All the while, Alan had noticed the map fall out of the section of the utility belt that one of the skeletons had with them. What's this? Said Alan. There seems to be a map there. As soon as Alan said that, he went up to pick up the map, only to be hit in the face by one of the skeletons. That resulted in Alan getting tossed back several feet. Alan had also lost the shotgun in the process. Oh, great, said Alan. All right, you pile of bones, let's bring it on. All the while, Alan had gotten back up and went for his chainsaw. Just then, Joseph had contacted Alan. Alan said, Joseph, what's your status? Do you mind? Said Alan. I'm busy. What do you mean? Asked Joseph. First of all, I'm in the tomb of the Night Lord Joseph Brecker. Apparently so, said Joseph. Where are the allies? All of the allies, except for Officer Morgan, are in the town, said Alan. Officer Morgan is in undead territory. Is that so? Said Joseph. All the while, Alan was fighting the skeletons. Meanwhile, at the foot of the dead, Officer Morgan had gotten out of the cell. That was easy, said Officer Morgan. Just then, a zombie had seen Officer Morgan. Hold it right there, said the zombie. Not likely, said Officer Morgan. As soon as he said that, he went for his guns. The zombie also got for his weapon, but the zombie was too late, for Officer Morgan had gotten to his guns. All right, you rotting piece of flesh, said Officer Morgan. Let's bring it on. For the glory of the master of zombies, said the zombie. That was where the zombie had charged at Officer Morgan, only to be severely wounded. It should be easy now, said Officer Morgan. Not likely, said the zombie. As soon as the zombie said that he had put it to Officer Morgan. Not a wise idea, said Officer Morgan. That was where Officer Morgan went at the zombie with both guns blazing. Meanwhile, in the tomb of the Night Lord Joseph Brecker, Alan had managed to defeat the skeletons. He had also picked up the map. All the while, Joseph had been in contact with him. Alan, said Joseph, you better get to your mission objective. Whatever, Joseph, said Alan. All I know is that the two pieces of technology already have been placed in the battleship. That was where Alan started going towards the paths. One of the paths leads into the inner sanctum, and the other leads to a crushing wall type trap room. Said Alan. I wonder what's on the map. As soon as he was speaking, Alan unrolled the map. The map showed the inner set layout of the tomb. This should be interesting, said Alan, as he was approaching the split path. As soon as he approached the path, he heard something from outside the tomb. Little did Alan know that the battleship of the undead forces had arrived in the area, along with several hundred undead troops. Meanwhile, on the battleship, the Master of Zombies, Necro-Oracle, and the four generals were on the bridge. My comrades, said the Master of Zombies, today is the dawn of a new era. Bah, said the Battle Knight, this is too easy. I should be down there fighting the enemies. Not to worry, said Quotor. I have a feeling we'll be facing the entire group of heroes soon enough. At that moment, an undead soldier had entered the bridge. Necro-Oracle, said the undead soldier. The mercenaries you had hired are down there. Mercenaries, said the Master of Zombies. Yes, my lord, said Necro-Oracle. I have hired 4 mercenaries to fight for the undead forces. Is that so? Said the Master of Zombies. At that moment, the undead forces had smashed through the rear walls. All the while, Alan had made it through by several traps in the tomb. As he was going down the path, he had examined the ammo and gas remaining. Oh, great, said Alan. Both the ammo and gas are getting low. Just then, he spotted a small gas canister and a box of shells. Talk about good timing, Alan said to himself. That was where Alan went over to pick up the canister and box. It was at that moment that Alan had a weird feeling. Man, that was weird, Alan said to himself. All of a sudden, Alan found himself face to face with the spirit of Joseph, the Night Lord Joseph Brecker. Oh, great, said Alan. Now I'm seeing things. Do not jump to conclusions, Joseph's spirit said. I am the Night Lord Joseph Brecker. Oh, really now, said Alan. If you're Joseph Brecker, why are you still alive? I'm not alive, Joseph's spirit said. I am only a spirit now. I had temporarily returned from the dimension of the dead to tell you something important. Oh, yeah, said Alan. What's so important that you had to return from the dead? It is because of one main thing, Joseph's spirit said. For if you fall in your mission, the undead will reign over this realm. Not only that, they will march on to other dimensions. All will be lost. I can't believe this, said Alan. If what you say is true, I shall continue with my mission. Then is agreed, said Joseph's spirit. I shall lead the way. That was where Alan and the spirit of the Night Lord Joseph Barker went to the main section of the tomb, where Joseph's coffin was laid. All the while, the heroes and the residents of the armors were battling the undead forces and the mercenaries. All of a sudden, the sound of motorcycle engines sounded in the distance. The sounds came from the fire griffins' motorcycles. The Fire Griffins had been resurrected as a gang of undead bikers. Guys, said the undead Bishop Greg Anderson, let's get these humans. Little did the undead bikers realize that their former partner, Caleb Rayner, is in the area. Said Caleb Rayner. This is serious indeed. That was where Calsortus had noticed that Caleb was in the area. This is interesting, said Calsortus. There seems to be a human in the area that the undead hadn't gone to yet. At that moment, a zombie charged at Calsortus. Calsortus said, "Match to block the incoming attack." That was where Calsortus had decided to use special attack, the Berserker attack. Calsortus had started slicing for the undead troops. All the while, Alan had made it to the location where the Night Lord Joseph Barker's coffin is located at. Finally, said Alan, I'm here, indeed. Yes, indeed, said the spirit of Joseph Barker. Now for the final part. You must retrieve my sword from the coffin. That was where Alan went over this coffin. Little did he know that Necro-Oracle had been aware of Alan's mission. Necro-Oracle was using the spell to awaken the body of Night Lord Joseph Barker. Alan had opened the coffin in the tomb. Huh? Said Alan gasped as he seen the remains of the Light Lord. Said Joseph's spirit. I guess you haven't seen a corpse before. Not really, said Alan. It's just that it's been a while since I have seen a corpse that stayed in one place. At that moment, the remains of the Night Lord started moving. But my God, said Joseph Barker, my remains are alive once more. That was where Joseph's remains went at Alan. Alan, said Joseph's spirit. Watch out. I'm way ahead of it, said Alan, as he dodged the reanimated corpse's attack. All of a sudden, the reanimated corpse turned around it and attempted to thrust his sword at Alan. Yikes, said Alan, as he was moving out of the way. Alan had attempted to mount a counterattack, but it had been stopped by the reanimated corpse. How am I going to stop this corpse? Said Alan. Try aiming for the midsection of the armor, said Joseph's spirit. On the left side, to be precise. Right, said Alan. Once he said that, he aimed for the weak spot with the chainsaw. Little did Alan know that Necro-Oracle had boosted the armor of the reanimated corpse. At that moment, sparks started flying when Alan's chainsaw hit the reanimated corpse's armor. All of a sudden, the reanimated corpse grabbed a hold of the chainsaw and crushed it. Oh, great, said Alan. That was where Alan switched to using the shotgun. The reanimated corpse had knocked the shotgun out of Alan's hand. Alan then switches to using his fist. Reanimated corpse managed to block each punch. Oh, great, said Alan. What am I going to do now? I'm afraid you're on your own, said Joseph's spirit. This is just great, said Alan. Meanwhile, on board the battleship, the four generals had started on their way to Castle Director. They were accompanied by several detachments of troops. I don't know why we even bothered going to Castle Director, said the battle knight, when the battle is in Ormuz. First of all, said Quotor, it is our next target after Ormuz. Hey guys, said Fortox, it seems that Quotor is headed to the same place as us. What do you mean? Fortox asked Quotor. I mean, he had already made the Shock Ranger's territory. He said Fortox. Yes, said Teltoxus. I see him now. That was where Saltoxis uses viewscope to view the situation in Shock Ranger territory. The events that unfolded in Shock Ranger's territory had proved to be a pivotal situation. The Shock Rangers had managed to beat Gultor, but not without sustaining major damage. All forces retreat, said Scientox. Fall back to the bridge defenses. Aye, sir, said the artillery captain. That was where the remaining members of the Shock Rangers clan had retreated to the defenses. The remaining members included 2 artillery crews, both consisting of 5 members, 6 Grion Toro riding warriors, 4 Orc warriors, the artillery captain, and Scientox. Meanwhile, at the bridge defenses, one of the warriors had spotted the Orc warriors heading towards the location. Sir Morgan, said the warrior, the Orcs are headed this way, and they're not alone. All warriors, said Sir Dante Morgan, prepare to fire on my mark. Yes, sir, said the warriors. At that moment, the 4 generals had arrived in the immediate area. All of a sudden, Telsor and his clan had arrived along with Tyrannex and some of the troops from both the barbarian tribe based in the town of Chior. About time, said Chaldor. I would have to agree with that, said Targonis. All forces, said the ranks, moved into position and helped warriors at the bridge. Hold it, comrade, said Telsor. I thought our objective was to intercept Gultor and his generals. Indeed it is, said Tyrannex, but we also must make sure to help the warriors at the bridge. If you insist, said Telsor, Orc warriors, you're with me. Let's ride to stop the generals and Gultor. Right, said Tyrannex. The rest of you are with me. Let's help the warriors at the bridge. Little did they know that the battleship is headed their way. Meanwhile, back at the tomb of the Night Lord Joseph Barker, Alan had narrowly managed to get the sword Omnolite. Phew, said Alan. After all this time, I wanted to fight. Excellent work, said Joseph Spirit. Now you must hurry. What do you mean? Asked Alan. Your allies are in danger, said Joseph Spirit. The undead are headed to Castle Director. Not only that, Necro-Oracle has hired 4 mercenaries. Mercenaries, said Alan. Just then, Joseph had contacted Alan. Alan, said Joseph, what's your status? I have some good news and some bad news, said Alan. Why do I have a feeling it's involving the Allies, said Joseph. The good news is that I have retrieved the sword Omnolite, said Alan. The bad news is that the battleship is headed towards Castle Director. What else? Asked Joseph. Necro-Oracle has hired 4 mercenaries, said Alan. This is just great, said Joseph. Now you must hurry, said Joseph's Spirit. The spirits tell me that your comrades have just been warped aboard the battleship. What else do the spirits tell you? Asked Alan. It seems that Necro-Oracle is about to betray the Master of Zombies, said Joseph's Spirit. They also tell me that the biker gang called the Fire Griffins had lost 19 of their members to the forces of darkness. Only 19, said Alan. Last time I checked, there were 20 bikers. Whom is the remaining biker? Said the only remain bikers Kale Brainor, said Joseph's Spirit. This should be interesting, said Alan. That was where Alan had started to head out of the tomb. All the while, the heroes, except for Alan and Officer Morgan, had found themselves in a cell on board the battleship. Oh, great, said Optitoric. Where are we now? Apparently, said Kelsortus, we are on board the battleship. That was where Necro-Oracle had appeared. By the gods, said Rotusor, Necro-Oracle. Indeed I am, Necro-Oracle, said Necro-Oracle. I suppose you are wondering why I am here. Not really, you rotten piece, said Terrace. Terrace, said Kelsosus. Enough. Excellent, said Necro-Oracle. You heroes are wondering why you haven't already been turned into zombies. Indeed, said Sectus. I am not actually part of the forces of darkness, said Necro-Oracle. I am, in fact, a dark elf named Arcos Darkblade. Arcos Darkblade, said Ortusor. That name sounds familiar. By the gods, said Optotorix. Arcos Darkblade is a dark elf who came to Octiviox from some other dimension. How perceptive, said Necro-Oracle. I was once Arcos Darkblade, but that was a long time ago. What do you mean? Asked Calsortus. When I was Arcos Darkblade, said Necro-Oracle, I was killed by the Master of Zombies. When was that? Asked Calsortus. That was several thousand years ago, said Necro-Oracle. At that moment, a Necro-Guard had entered the room. Sir, said the Necro-Guard, the ship is in range of the bridge defenses. Excellent, said Necro-Oracle. That was where Necro-Oracle turned to face the heroes. I shall return for you later, Necro-Oracle said to the heroes. That was where Necro-Oracle had secretly handed Sectus the key card that would open the cell. What in the realms was that all about, said Proctor. Quiet, lizard man, said Necro-Oracle. You will ruin the secret. Sir, said the Necro-Guard, what are you doing? Trying to help the heroes? That was where Necro-Oracle tossed the fireball at the Necro-Guard. The Necro-Guard had been reduced to a pile of burnt undead flesh. Now's your chance, said Necro-Oracle. I shall stop the undead forces here. Understood, said Comrade. Comrade said to Octiviox. That was where Sectus had used the keycard on the keyport for the cell. Little did they realize that the Master of Zombies was watching them via a camera located in the ceiling. The Master of Zombies said to himself. It seems that the Arcos Dark Blade is still alive. Meanwhile, at the Fort of the Dead, Officer Morgan had passed by several corridors and rooms. Officer Morgan had also gone by several of the undead forces' best soldiers, Necro-Guards. It was at that moment which the Officer Morgan had made it to a seemingly nondescript building. This is what the building Necro-Oracle had told me about, said Officer Morgan. That was where Officer Morgan had picked the keys out of his pocket. This must be the key for the building, said Officer Morgan. As soon as he said that, he put the key into the keyhole. All the while, in another dimension, the Gate Master was watching the events unfold. It looks like Officer Morgan will be getting some new weaponry, said the Gate Master. As he was saying that, he switched over to another view screen. The view screen showed the events at the castle. Meanwhile, at the castle, King Anderson had ordered the moving of the people in the castle to a safer location. At that moment, the four generals had showed up at the castle wall via a warp spell cast by Quotor. Finally, said Saltoxis, we're inside. As soon as Saltoxis said that, the four generals had started attacking the inhabitants of the castle. All of a sudden, Telsor came into the castle. Sir Dante Morgan came in from the armory. At that moment, the two had seen each other. Telsor, Morgan, Telsor roared as he charged at Sir Morgan. All the while, the four generals were rampaging for the castle. That was where Ortok had charged at the generals. Ortok, wait, said King Anderson. All of a sudden, Quotor has used his razor slash attack on King Anderson. Oh, exclaimed King Anderson as he fell to the ground. That was where Ortok had rushed over to King Anderson. My lord, said to Ortok, are you all right? It's only a flesh minor wound, said to King Anderson. Well, said Quotor, it seems I haven't finished the job. That was where Quotor had used his razor slash attack against King Anderson. That attack proved to be fatal to King Anderson. Comrade Ortok, said King Anderson, I want you to watch out for my daughter. I also want you to At that moment, King Anderson was dead. I shall do as you say, sire, said Ortok. As soon as Ortok said that, he rose from the side where King Anderson had fallen. General, said Ortok, you shall pay for this. At that moment, great Ortok had to charge at the generals. Meanwhile, at the tomb of Knight Lord Joseph Barker, Alan had made it out of the tomb. Finally, said Alan, I'm out of the tomb. That was where Alan had noticed that most of everyone had died in the battle against the undead. Said Alan, I had better be on my guard. Once he said that, Alan had loaded his shotgun and started searching for his allies. At that moment, the Gate Master had contacted Alan. Alan Stukov said to the Gate Master, the final battle between the forces of light and darkness is upon us. What do you mean? Asked Alan. I mean that the undead forces are already at the castle, said the Gate Master. I thought that they would have placed defenses at the bridges, said Alan. They have, young warrior, said the Gate Master, but they have been overrun by the undead. Not only that, the generals had already warped to the castle. What else has happened? Asked Alan. Unfortunately, said Gate Master, King Anderson has been killed. Not only that, most of the residents of the castle had fled to the west. This is just great, said Alan. As soon as Alan said that, he punched the wall next to the entrance of the tomb. couldn't blame you for feeling that way, said the Gate Master, but you must remember not to let yourself be corrupted by the darkness. Right, said Alan, but my comrades have been warped upon the ship. I must do something to help them. Meanwhile, on the battleship, the heroes had managed to get by several zombies. That was easy, said Octiviox. Yes, said Calsortus, but we must be on guard. At that moment, a Necro-Guard had appeared in the area. Halt, said the Necro-Guard. That was where the Master of Zombies had appeared in the same section of the ship as the heroes. By the gods, said Calsortus, the Master of Zombies. Indeed I am, said the Master of... Indeed I am, said young Kordrax, the Master of Zombies. Now your quest ends here. Well, said Ortalk, Octiviox, your mission for dominance shall end. Those are Octiviox at charge of the Master of Zombies. Octiviox, wait, said Calsortus, but Calsortus is too late, for the Master of Zombies has overpowered Octiviox. By the gods, said Terrace, this cannot be. That was where Terrace had started firing arrows at the Master of Zombies. Said Calsortus, this is just great. Well, we should help out, said the Feldrag warrior. Like Datatalk said, said Toldox, we should help her out. After all, we outnumber the Master of Zombies. But on the other hand, said Rotosar, his armies outnumber us. Then we should take advantage of the situation, said Datatalk, said the Feldrag warrior, even though we are outnumbered. Perhaps you are right, said Calsortus. That was where the other heroes had charged the Master of Zombies. Meanwhile, at the fort of the dead, Officer Morgan had looked around the area, the building. This is interesting, said Officer Morgan. That was where Officer Morgan had found a mech suit. The mech suit was 15 feet in height, filled with gadgets and weaponry. Said Officer Morgan. Meanwhile, at Ormers, Alan had attempted to figure out the controls of the Cosmo Fighter. That was where the Gate Master had contacted Alan. Alan said, Gate Master, I know of a way in which you can easily get to his destination. What would that be, asked Alan. It is the portal, said Gate Master. I could open the portals for you. If what you say is true, said Alan, then lead the way. That was where the Gate Master had opened the portal leading to the area of Sorokor. Little did Alan know that the undead forces had already gone to Castle Doroktor. Meanwhile, at the barbarian tribe base, the remaining forces of Castle Doroktor and the Shock Rangers clan had managed to arrive there. Greetings, comrades, said Clint. Welcome to the base of the barbarian tribe. Meanwhile, at the fort of the dead, Officer Morgan had chosen the mech. This ought to be interesting, said Officer Morgan. That was where Officer Morgan had activated the mech. At that moment, a video message from Necro-Oracle had started playing on one of the vid screens. Greetings, Officer Morgan, the recording said. I had a feeling that you would choose this mech. Well, it's more of a guess, said. Why am I not surprised, said Officer Morgan. Anyway, said the recording, to use the mech, the controls are in the front of the cockpit. That was where Officer Morgan had managed to find the controls. Next, said Necro-Oracle, the recording, to use the weaponry, you select the particular armament and wait till the targeting icon is on the target to fire. Said Officer Morgan. I wonder what else does the recording have? To activate the jet thruster, said the recording, click on the jet thruster button once. It will be activated and you can use it for as long as there's jet fuel. This should be interesting, said Officer Morgan. One last thing, said the recording. I had also placed the coordinates of the spots in which the battleship would be heading towards. Oh, great, said Officer Morgan, as he had seen the locations on the map screen. Also, said the recording, I must warn you, I suspect the Master of Zombies is onto me. You will be facing heavy resistance. For now, I wish you luck on your mission. That was where the video message had ended. That was interesting, said Officer Morgan. After Officer Morgan said that, he started up the jetpack. At that moment, the mech had lifted off from the ground. It started to fly all over the place. Necro-Oracle had never mentioned how the flyest thing in jetpack mode, said Officer Morgan, as he nearly hit the wall. Just then, Necro-Oracle had contacted Officer Morgan. Officer Morgan said Necro-Oracle, I forgot to mention this. Let me guess, Officer Morgan. It's about to just fresh mode in on the mech. Of course, said Necro-Oracle. Not to worry, Necro-Oracle. I will get used to it. Oh, said Necro-Oracle. There's something else I need to tell you. What would that be? Asked Officer Morgan. The Master of Zombies plans on having one major battle to determine who controls this realm. Then I must inform Alan, said Officer Morgan. All the while, Officer Morgan had managed to escape from the fort. Meanwhile, Alan had arrived at the bridge defenses, only to find that the defenses had been destroyed. Oh my God, said Alan, when he see the remains. What has happened? Just then, the gate master contacted Alan. Apparently, it seems that the Master of Zombies has been here, said the gate master. I'll get the Master of Zombies for what he's done, said Alan. Remember, said the gate master, do not let your anger take control. You're right, said Alan. Just what's next location? Just then, Alan had looked over at Castle Director. My God, said Alan. How could he have done this? Apparently, said the Master of Zombies, the game master, he has become more evil than before, even after the last time I had faced him. Just then, the Master of Zombies had managed to contact Alan. Greetings, Alan, said the Master of Zombies. I bet you know who I am. Yes, Alan, you're the one who is behind all this carnage. All of the people who have lost their lives. Yeah, it's all part of my plan, said the Master of Zombies. There's one last part. What's that? Asked Alan. One final battle will be waged for dominance of this realm, said the Master of Zombies. It will be held in 3 days on the dark battlefield of evil land. It's to the east, on the island of Octiviox. My forces are already stationed there. Right, said Alan, like I would believe that. Alan, said the gate master, I have feeling he's right. That was where Alan had headed to the nearest base. All the while, Officer Morgan had managed to fly the mech suit to Armor's. Officer Morgan's mech suit had started to get low on fuel. Oh, great, said Officer Morgan. That was where Necro-Oracle had contacted Officer Morgan. Officer Morgan said, Necro-Oracle, I have some bad news. What would that be? Says Officer Morgan. The Master of Zombies has announced where and when the battle would take place, said Necro-Oracle. What do you mean? Asked Officer Morgan. The battle is going to be held on the dark battlefield of Evil Land on the island of Southjax in 3 days, said Necro-Oracle. What's the bad news? Asked Officer Morgan. The Master of Zombies had set an ambush for the hero, said Necro-Oracle. Where is the extra fuel can? Said Officer Morgan. The closest fuel can, said Necro-Oracle, is the fuel pack. There is also a refueling station a couple 100 yards to your right. Right, said Officer Morgan. Meanwhile, Alan had managed to make it to the barbarian tribe base. Sir, said Duranx, there seems to be a human here. What do you mean? Asked Clint. There's a human here, said Duranx. He's wearing strange armor. He seems to be wielding a sword, which seems to be like the sword Omnolite. Omnolite, said Clint. If what you say is true, let him in. Understood, sir, said Duranix. That was where Duranix had opened the gate, letting Alan into the base. While Alan was walking into the base, he had seen the remaining forces of both the castle and the Orc clans. That was where Captain Sordash had approached Alan. Human, said Captain Sordash. Finally you have arrived. Aye, said Ortok. I would have to agree. That was where Ortok had noticed that Alan has the sword Omnolite with him. I see the sword Omnolite, said Ortok. Excellent work. You may win. That hardly looks like the sword of legend, said Captain Sordash. How would you know, said Ortok. The legend of the Night Lord didn't even reach your planet. How dare you mention our planet, said Captain Sordash, after what has happened to it recently. At that moment, Sergeant Dargaris and Telzor entered the area. About time, Sergeant, said Captain Sordash. I suppose the Orc has attempted to slow down the progress. How dare you insult me, said Telzor. Let's settle this right here, right now. At that moment, Telzor had grabbed a hold of his battle axe. That was where Alan had stepped in between them to stop the fight. Hold it, guys, said Alan. In case you didn't notice, we're on the same side. Indeed, said Lieutenant Gutaris, as he was walking into the area. Lieutenant Gutaris, said Captain Sordash, about time you showed up. Captain, comrade, said Lieutenant Gutaris, I have some major news. What news would that be? Asked Alan. The scouting report said say that the undead forces have left the castle for the island of Octiviox, said Lieutenant Guterres. I have some bad news to add to that, said Alan. What would that be? Asked Lieutenant Guterres. I received a transmission from the Master of Zombies, said Alan. He made mention of a battle for dominance of this realm. It will be held in 3 days on the dark battlefield of Evil Land. What would that be? Said Captain Sordash. That was where Clint Orans had entered the room. Ah, said Clint, you must be the person named Alan Stukoff. Indeed I am, said Alan. Alan has brought some major news, said Ortok. Indeed, said Duronix. Alan has brought news of a challenge from the Master of Zombies. What do you mean, asked Clint. The challenge is a battle for dominance of this realm, said Alan. It will be held in 3 days on the dark battlefield of Evil Land. Dark battlefield of Evil Land, said Clint. I have heard of that location. Many beings have died on that land. Why should we listen to this foolish human? These foolish humans, said Captain Sordash. I have a feeling these humans may just turn the tide of this battle, said Lieutenant Guterres. Oh, really now, said Captain Sordash. I have just gotten a good idea. Why do I have a feeling you have something in store for Alan, said Lieutenant Guterres. It was at that moment that Officer Morgan had arrived at the location. Meanwhile, Caleb Rayner had managed to avoid being detected by the undead forces. Along the way, he managed to pick up some equipment that he found at the remains. I can't believe my pals have been killed, said Caleb. Those blasted zombies. I'll get them for what they've done to my comrades. At that moment, a vision of Necro-Oracle had appeared in front of Caleb. Caleb Rayner, said Necro-Oracle. I am Necro-Oracle. You're the one who transformed my pals into zombies, said Caleb. Wait, said Necro-Oracle. It was not I, but the Master of Zombies whom had transformed your comrades into the undead. At that moment, Caleb had gone for his chain. That won't be necessary, said Necro-Oracle. Meanwhile, back at the barbarian tribe base, Alan had told King Orans about the events leading up to the current situation. This is most serious indeed, said Clint. At that moment, Duronix had entered the room. Finally, said Clint, now the challenge shall begin. Why do I have a bad feeling about this, said Alan. That's where Alan and Duronix had proceeded to the arena. This should be interesting, said Alan. Indeed, human, said Duronix. Meanwhile, on the dark battlefield of Evil Land, the heroes were placed in a cell located on a hilly section of the land. This is just great, said Tiras. Octiviox and the Atuk had been killed. That was where Corzon and the Torask had approached the heroes. If you two are here to finish the job, said Tiras, get it over with. We're not here for that, said Corzon. Yeah, said the Torask. Necro-Oracle wants you guys to help him banish the Master of Zombies. At that moment, Broktar had grabbed Corzon by the throat. All right, you slimy piece of, said Broktar. Broktar, said Kilsochus. Silence. If you insist, said Broktar. That was where Broktar had lowered Corzon back down to the ground. Now then, said Kilsochus, why does Necro-Oracle want our help? Well, said Torask, Necro-Oracle wants you heroes to ambush the Master of Zombies. Yes, said Corzon. It will be happening in 3 days. Necro-Oracle has set it up so that the Master of Zombies will be situated next to the cells. Torask. Is that so? Said Sectus. Meanwhile, back at the barbarian tribe base, the challenge between Alan and Duronix was underway. Alan had started with a charging attack on Duronix. Duronix had countered with a hip toss move. Most impressive, Alan, said Duronix. All the while, Captain Sordash and Clint Orans were watching the challenge. This should be interesting, said Captain Sordash. Like you said Clint, this should be interesting. Just then, an orc warrior had arrived at the area where Captain Sordash and Clint were located in. Captain Sordash, King Oran, said the orc warrior. I have some major news. What do you mean? Asked Captain Sordash. The scouts say that they have found the location of the heroes, said the orc warrior. Where will that be? Asked Clint. The scouts say that the heroes are located on a hill in the eastern section of the battlefield, said the orc warrior. The scouts also report that the heroes have been placed in a cell. What is their condition? Asked Captain Sordash. What about Kilsortis? The scouts had only found 5 heroes, said the orc warrior. All 5 seem to be in excellent condition. 5, said Alan. That must mean what? Said Duronix. I had already faced one of the allies' death, said Alan. Comrade, were you able to find out which heroes are there? Yes, said the Orc Warrior. The scouts report that there's a Kordak Warrior, a half-elf warrior, a ranger, a lizardman warrior, a ratman warrior, and a Kordak elf warrior in the cells. That would mean that Octiviox and Deotok were killed, said Alan. Wait a minute. What about Toltox? Were you able to see him? The scouts haven't noticed him, said the Orc Warrior. Then it must be is assumed that he's still alive. Alan, Duronic, said Clint, you two must complete the challenge. As you wish, my king, said Duronic. At that moment, Duronic had turned to face Alan. As he was doing so, Alan had readied his sword. Ha, said Duronic, do you think you can beat me? At least I will try, said Alan. Then prepare yourself, said Duronic. That was where Duronic had charged at Alan. Alan had narrowly dodged Duronic's attack. Alan had managed to get it in a hit of his own. Arg! Exclaimed Duronic. Most impressive. But you have not seen me in my transformed state. Oh, great, said Alan, as if having to fight the undead wasn't bad enough. That was where Duronic had transformed into his were-tiger form. Now, said Duronic, let's see you fight me now. As soon as Duronic said that, he had charged at Alan. Alan had narrowly dodged the attack. Alan had attempted to mount a counterattack, but was unsuccessful. Most impressive, said Duronic, but you shall not win. At that moment, Caleb Brainard had made it to the base. Little does he suspect that Officer Morgan is in the base. Well, said Caleb, this must be the base for the barbarian tribe. Just then, Caleb had encountered Officer Morgan. Oh, great, said Caleb. Officer Morgan, you just had to be there. I'm surprised you're here as well, said Officer Morgan, as he was getting out of the mech. While the two were talking, one of Captain Morrison's troops had seen them. Captain Morrison, said the trooper, it seems like Officer Morgan is there. There's also an unidentified person out there with him. Excellent, said Captain Morrison. That was where Captain Morrison went and told King Orange, Captain Sordash, and Alan about the arrival of Caleb Brainerd and Officer Morgan. Meanwhile, at the dark battlefield of the evil land, Necro-Oracle had examined the battleship. This should be interesting, said Necro-Oracle. Just then, the Master of Zombies had approached Necro-Oracle. Necro-Oracle, said the Master of Zombies, are the forces ready? Indeed, my master, said Necro-Oracle. Even as we speak, the zombified version of the Orc Warrior Octiviox is on his way to the desert base of the barbarian tribe. Excellent, said the Master of Zombies. Little did the Master of Zombies realize that Necro-Oracle had planned it so that Octiviox would still have some of his memories. Meanwhile, back at the desert base of the barbarian tribes, Cale Brainerd and Officer Morgan had entered the base. Excellent, said King Orons. Now we have a chance to win this battle. Battle, said Officer Morgan. Indeed, said Ortog. Apparently, from what Alan had told us, there is going to be a battle for dominance of this realm. It will be held in 3 days on the dark battlefield of Evil Land. Oh, said Caleb. All the while, Alan and Duronic were continuing in their challenge. We better finish this soon, said Alan. Indeed, said Duronic. That was where the two proceeded to end the challenge. The end part of the challenge was quick, with Alan winning. King Oron, said Captain Sordash, the human called Alan Stukoff had won the challenge. That was where King Oron had entered the area to congratulate Alan. Most impressive, said King Oron. I didn't expect you to win, even against Duronic when he was in a were-tiger form. What do you mean? Asked Alan. Very few warriors have beaten Duronic in the arena, said King Orange. Just then, Princess Heather Anderson had entered the area. Guys, said Princess Anderson, I had just gotten a carrier pigeon with a message. What does the message say, Your Highness? Said Alan. Highness, said Princess Anderson. Yeah, said Alan, especially after your father, King Anderson, had died. You would have inherited the kingdom, being next in line. I'm not queen yet, you know, said Princess Anderson. At least not formally. Wait a minute, said Princess Anderson. How did you know about this? The gate master had told me, replied Alan. How dare you say that you talked to the gate master, said Princess Anderson. He hardly shows himself in this realm since the beginning of this realm. Elsewhere, Princess Anderson slapped Alan and stormed off. That left Alan with a surprised state. Oh, great, said Alan. What was that for? Princess Anderson Heck was through a lot, said Durant. Bringing up her father's stuff didn't help. Yeah, said Alan. I guess it didn't help matters much, but I must admit she would be next in line for the throne. Indeed, said Captain Morrison. By the way, who is this gate master you spoke of, said Alan. Well, said Alan, I had only met him hours ago. Apparently he watches over the portals. Is that so, said Captain Morrison. The only thing I'm not sure about, said Alan, is the part about that Princess Anderson said about the Game Master being in this dimension. I'm not sure about that, said Tyrannox. Do you know what I think you should do, said Alan, Captain Morrison? Captain Morrison? What would that be, asked Alan. First, you should apologize to Princess Anderson. For what, said Captain Morrison. For what, said Alan. First of all, said Tyrannox, there's the part about mentioning her father's death. Yeah, said Captain Morrison. Yeah, said Alan. I guess you're right. I'll get on it right away. That was where Alan went to find Princess Anderson. All the while, in another part of the dimension of Octiviox, Isorton and the Dark Mage and Skeltalkus the Minotaur had made the remains of Ormrus. Oh my God, said Isorton. I can't believe that this happened to Ormrus. I can't believe it either, boss, said Skeltalkus. What shall we do now, said Isorton. I have an idea, said Skeltalkus. What do you mean, asked Isorton. Well, said Skeltalkus, we could team up with the heroes. The heroes, exclaimed Isorton. We couldn't possibly team up with them. Well, said Skeltalkus, what do you have in mind? I have just remembered something, said Isorton. There's a renegade elven warrior named Calox Wolfclaw. Calox Wolfclaw, said Skeltalkus. I remember hearing that name mentioned before, but where? Just after Skeltalkus said that, he suddenly remembered where he had heard the name. My God, said Skeltalkus, I remember that name. I had heard that name when I was on the island Dirax in the northeastern area. Yes, that's the person I was thinking of, said Isorton. I was thinking that we could get his help. Where is he? Asked Skeltalkus. I last heard from him when he was in underground town, said Isorton. It's located directly north of here. Let's go, said Skeltalkus. As soon as Skeltalkus said that, he and Isorton had started on their way. Meanwhile, back at the barbarian tribe base, Alan had managed to find Princess Anderson. Princess Anderson, said Alan. I just wanted to say that you're sorry, said Princess Anderson. How did you know, said Alan. I suspected as much, said Princess Anderson, especially when your pals are nearby. As soon as Princess Anderson said that, she pointed over to where the hallway next to the balcony. Ortalk and Durant were among the group. Oh, is that so, said Alan? In that case, I would want to apologize for my comments earlier. In that case, said Princess Anderson, apology accepted. Alan, said King Oron, the plans will be set. Excellent, said Alan. What else is there? There is still the situation with Eros of the town Chior, said Geronix. That was mentioned on the message carried by the carrier pigeon, said Princess Anderson. Is that so, said Alan? Anyway, said Ortok, we have 3 days to prepare. Yeah, said Geronix, let's get started. As soon as Durag said that, the heroes had started on their preparation for the upcoming battle. All the while, Isorton and Skaltakas were on their way to the underground town of Koroxion. In the town Chior, Eros and his troops were also prepared for the battle. The master of zombies were waiting for the heroes to arrive. Necro-Oracle had talked to his hired mercenaries, even though he suspects that the master of zombies is onto him. Kellogg's Wolfclaw had prepared his minions for battle. Kellogg's had only found out about the battle only a day ago when a spy had spied upon Alan when he was talking to the master of zombies and the gate master. Soon enough, 3 days had passed. Well, King Oran said to Alan, 3 days has passed. It sure has, said Alan. It was a great time us being together, said Duranax, even though the circumstances surrounding our alliance isn't the best. Just then, Princess Anderson, Telzor, Captain Sordas, and Steintox had entered the room of the base. Comrades, said Princess Anderson, the time for battle is upon us. Indeed it is, said Alan, as he was putting the shotgun and sword into the holsters. Guys, said Telsor, the boats are in position. Yeah, said Princess Anderson. Sir Morgan and the Serac Horan forces are already there. Also, said Duranox, Telsor had attempted to start a fight with Sir Morgan. Ha, said Telsor, like Sir Morgan could beat me in your dream, said Princess Anderson. That was where Officer Morgan had entered the room. Hey guys, said Officer Morgan, let's get going. Are you ready for this? Asked Officer Morgan. As ready as I'll ever be, said Alan. As soon as Alan said that, the heroes had proceeded to the shoreline, where the ships were located. All the while, Ice Orton and his forces were arriving at the field from the north. Also, what the heroes don't realize is that the zombified version of Octiviox is waiting at the ruins of the castle Director. Guys, said Telsor, we're here. About time you guys got here, said Sir Morgan. Let's just get on with this, said Alan. That was where Alan had noticed someone near the castle. The person in question is Octiviox. That can't be possible, Alan said to himself. Hey, Alan, said Officer Morgan, let's get a move on. Just hold on a minute, said Alan. It seems that someone is coming this way. What do you mean, that? Asked Officer Morgan. Officer Morgan, could you use the long-range scanners to identify the person? Indeed, I'll get on it, said Officer Morgan. As soon as Officer Morgan said that, he used the long-range scanners on the mech suit. What the? Said Officer Morgan. What is it? Asked Alan. You won't believe this, Alan, said Officer Morgan. It looks like our old friend Octiviox is back. What else are you able to tell? Asked Alan. I have some bad news, Alan, said Officer Morgan, but Octiviox has come back as an undead. This is just great, said Alan. I'll handle this. As soon as Alan said that, he proceeded towards Octiviox. All the while, in the dark battlefield of Evil Land, Ice Orton, Calox, Wolfclaw, and their forces had set up their positions in the northern section of the field. Ice Orton, said Calox, who is this master of zombies? He is the evil master of the dead, said Ice Orton. Yes, said Galtacus. He had already wiped out the group of warriors Ice Orton said to eliminate him. Do you mind? Said Ice Orton. By the way, said Calox, have you repaired your staff? I have not, said Ice Orton, but not to worry. I have a second staff, which I have warped in from my tower. This should be good, said Alan. Calox. Back at the ruins of Castle Director, Alan had confronted the undead version of Octiviox. You shall not stop my new master, growled zombie Octiviox. The dead shall rule this realm. Not likely, said Alan. I shall see that your death was not in vain. That was where Alan had turned to face the warriors at the boats. Guys, said Alan, start going on without me. I'll catch up with you. Not likely, said Sergeant Garrus. I'll stay with you. In that case, said Clint Anasazi, I'll stay with you too. As he was speaking, Clint had unholstered both of his guns. If that's the case, said Sir Morgan, we'll keep a boat ready for you free. That was where Sergeant Garrus and Clint Anasazi had gone over to accompany Alan. All right, guys, said Sir Morgan, let's get a move on. Yes, sir, said the soldiers of Sorakar. Comrade, said Syntox, I may be able to spare a boat for the trio. That was where Syntox went to the base to get a boat. At that moment, Joseph had contacted Alan. Alan, said Joseph, what's your status? I'm at the ruins of Castle Director, said Alan. I'm facing an undead version of York warrior Octiviox. Is that so? Said Alan. Joseph also said Alan. The battle for dominance of this realm happens today. Then you must hurry, said Joseph, but I should tell you something. What would that be? Asked Alan. You should be careful, said Joseph. Also, good luck. Bring back the parts if possible. Indeed, said Alan. I shall do so. You shall follow, said zombie Octiviox. As soon as Octiviox said that, he charged at Alan. Clint had intercepted the zombie. All the while, the troops were proceeding to the dark battlefield of Evil Land. Alan, said Sergeant Garrus, let us deal with him. Not likely, said Alan. I knew Octiviox longer than you have. At that moment, Alan had moved into his position with the sword Omnolight in hand. Octiviox, said Alan, I won't let you stop us from our mission. We shall cease, comrades, said Octiviox. At that moment, the battle between former allies has begun. Sergeant Garrus, Clint, said Alan, you guys better get on the boat. I should have figured, said Sergeant Garrus, you would sacrifice yourself for the advancement of this mission. Come on, let's go, said Clint. As soon as he said that, he had seen a boat in the distance. If you insist, said Sergeant Garrus. but we should wait for Alan. As the two warriors were talking, Alan and Octiviox were fighting. Alan was trying to convince Octiviox to come back to his side. I don't know why you fight me, said Alan, but you must remember, we're on the same side. Oh, really now, said Octiviox. You shall not stop me. You must remember, said Alan. You were once an honorable warrior. You still hold on to those impressions, said Octiviox. You are even more foolish than I had imagined. All the while, Cyclops was bringing the boat close to the shore. Alan, said Sergeant Dogaris, you had better hurry it up. The boat is coming. Right, said Alan. At that moment, Octiviox had charged at Alan. Alan had managed to counter Octiviox's attack. All right, Octiviox, said Alan. Why has the Master of Zombies sent you? You're not getting anything from me, said Octiviox. What do you mean? Asked Alan. First of all, said Octiviox, he's not behind us. Could it have been I, Sergeant? Alan said to himself. On second thought, Necro-Oracle is also suspect in this case. At that moment, Alan had realized just who was behind Octiviox's reanimation. By any chance that Alan was Necro-Oracle behind your reanimation? So, said Octiviox, you have figured it out. Alan, said Clint, the boat's here. As soon as Clint said that, Alan had attempted to get to the boat. Octiviox had charged at Alan. Alan, watch out, exclaimed Sergeant Dogaris. Octiviox had managed to knock Alan down to the ground. Now you should die, my old comrade, said Octiviox. As soon as he said that, Octiviox had raised his short sword in preparation for his finishing blow. At that moment, Alan had noticed an opening for a counterattack. Alan had managed to duck out of the way and counter with a shot from a shotgun and a slash from a sword. Yarg! Exclaimed Octiviox as he fell to the ground. At that moment, Octiviox decided to revert to his actual self. Octiviox, said Alan, as he rushed over to Octiviox. Octiviox, said Alan, said to Octiviox, you have been a worthy ally. So have you, said Octiviox. It was an honor to fight alongside you. Just hold on, Octiviox, said Alan. It is too late for me, friend, said Octiviox. I have already died. Now know this. What would that be? Asked Alan. I have always trusted you, human, said Octiviox. I have respect for you. In all the time that I have known you, you were an honorable warrior and a good friend. Also, said Octiviox, there's one last thing I want to tell you. What would that be? Asked Alan. I want you to get those zombies, said Octiviox. Also, your allies are alive except for Data Talk. As soon as Octiviox said that he had died, Octiviox, said Alan, I shall make sure your death is avenged. It's about time, said Clint. Do you mind, said Alan? Our friend had just died. Let's get going, said Sergeant Dogaris. The others are already on their way to the dark battlefield of Evil Land. I'm coming, said Alan. That was where Alan had turned toward Octiviox's body. Octiviox, said Alan, I promise that I will make sure you have a warrior's burial. As soon as Alan said that, he went over to the boat. Comrades, said to Cyclops, we must get a move on if we are to catch up with the others. Indeed, said Clint. That was where Sergeant Dogaris, Clint, Anasazi, and Clint and Alan boarded the boat. Onto the field of battle, said Cyclops. This should be good, said Clint. The rest of the army is almost at the battlefield. Meanwhile, at the dark battlefield of Evil Land, Ice Horton and Kellogg's army had confronted the Master of Zombies as an army. Little did Ice Horton realize that Kellogg's had a plan of his own to get more power. Soon enough, the army had gotten to the battlefield. All right, troops, said Sir Morgan, we are about to step foot onto the battlefield. We must stop the Master of Zombies from taking over this realm. If I may add something, said Caleb. Yes, Caleb, what is it? Said Sir Morgan. We must make sure to stop Ice Horton, said Caleb. Even though I used to work for him, I have a feeling he's here. Whatever makes you say that? Asked Sir Morgan. When I used to work for him, said Caleb, he said that he suspected the Master of Zombies would have battle here. Is that so? Said Sir Morgan. Meanwhile, Cyclops, Clint, Sergeant Dogaris, and Alan were making their way to the dark battlefield. Well, said Officer Morgan, we're here. At that moment, the Necro-Oracle had contacted Officer Morgan. Officer Morgan, said Necro-Oracle, it is good to see you. Necro-Oracle, said Officer Morgan, I didn't expect to get a transmission from you. Anyway, said Necro-Oracle, I want you to inform you that there is another army here as well. I begin to see what you mean, said Officer Morgan. That was where Officer Morgan had checked the radar screen. That moment, Officer Morgan had contacted Sir Morgan and informed him of the situation. Thanks to the update, said Sir Morgan. That's where Sir Morgan had turned to the troops. Sir Morgan said to the troops as they were getting off the boats that had just landed. It seems we have another army to battle. This should be good, said Greek Tag. You're telling me, said Jesse. Meanwhile, on board the mercenaries' airship, Metal Dragon, Captain Martinson and Captain Sordash were observing the events from the bridge. This should be proved to be an interesting battle, said Captain Martinson. What makes you say that, said Captain Sordash. Well, said Captain Martinson, it was years since I had fought alongside the forces of Sarkar. At that moment, the boat carrying Syntox, Alan, Sergeant Dragaris, and Clint had arrived. Finally, said Alan. We're here. About time, said Clint. Do you mind, said Sergeant Dragaris. Besides, said Alan, our allies are here. Meanwhile, on the hill in the dark battlefield of evil land, the master of the zombies had gotten closer to the cell. That was where Necro-Oracle had given the allies the signal. Now's the time, said Tyrus. That was where the heroes had ambushed the master of zombies. Cal Sortress had started off with his plasma saber. Tyrus and Brocktar were providing cover fire. Zectus and Retusor were defending the rest of the team. Tlotux was trying to fight the four generals. At that moment, the Master of Zombies had seen the armies of Sorkor. All forces, the Master of Zombies said to his troops, attack! That was where the undead army had confronted the armies of Sorkor. Warriors, said Sir Morgan, counterattack. At that moment, both armies had started the battle for dominance of Octiviox. The Master of Zombies had ended up moving off the hill and right into the main action. That was where Alan had just barely seen the Master of Zombies. Alan had also seen Greetak. Hey, Greetak, said Alan said Greetak, do you think you could get me over to a bunch of zombies? I can sure help you, said Greetak. Just hold on and I'll get you past the zombies. That was where Greetak went over to Alan and picked him up in order to catapult him over the zombies. Just one thing you should know, said Greetak. What is it? Asked Alan. Try to remain limp, said Greetak, because you're going to hit the ground hard. Right, said Alan. Are you ready, said Greetak. As ready as I'll ever be, said Alan. At that moment, Greetak catapulted Alan over the zombies. As soon as Alan had landed, he came face to face with the Master of Zombies. At long last, said the Master of Zombies, we meet face to face. You, said Alan, how could you kill all those innocent people? Those people had never meant you any harm. Your quest for dominance ends here. As soon as Alan said that, he had drawn out the sword to Omnolight. You shall fall, said the Master of Zombies. We shall see, said Alan. Then, with that, the battle between Alan and the Master of Zombies had begun. Little did the Master of Zombies know that the four mercenaries were behind him. Sire, said Quotor, look behind you. At that moment, the four mercenaries attacked the Master of Zombies. The Master of Zombies had taken out another sword and is now fighting with two swords. You shall not stop me, said the Master of Zombies. As soon as he said that, the Master of Zombies had used his double slice attack on the mercenaries. He then followed it up with Dark Blade Storm. The combination was so powerful that it had fatally wounded Cyclops and Sarkortox. Sarkortox, exclaimed the Taurus. Master of Zombies, roared Corzon. I shall see you pay for this. At that moment, Corzon had charged at the Master of Zombies. Oh, you think you can stop me, said the Master of Zombies? Well, take a look at this. At that moment, the Master of Zombies had summoned the battleship. By the gods, said Calsortus. How shall we stop it, said one of the Orc warriors. I shall do this, said Isorton. Omega Storm. At that moment, Isorton has used his Omega Storm attack. My god, exclaimed Isorton. It has no effect. I'll handle this, said Skaltakis, as he motioned for the Griffin Riders. Griffin Riders, said Skaltakis, take out the gun turrets on deck. Yes, sir, said the lead Griffin Rider. All the while, Alan and Master Zombies were fighting. Both were beginning to sustain damage. Let's take this somewhere, said the Master Zombies, where your allies won't help you. At that moment, both Alan and the Master Zombies were warped onto the battleship. Outside on the field, Syntox had directed some of the artillery crews to fire upon the battleship. On board the airship, Captain Morrison had commanded the warriors at the gunner's post to keep firing upon the advancing forces. Slowly but surely, the undead forces were overcoming the armies of Sorokor. Terrace was trying to take on the Battle Knight. She was at a disadvantage. Little did she know that she will be getting help in the form of the ogre Greetak. Terrace, said Greetak, hold on. I'm on my way. All the while, Greetak was charging for the hordes of undead creatures. As he was doing so, Greetak was tossing zombies out of his way. The Battle Knight had turned to attempt to block Greetak. Greetak had come crashing in and sent the Battle Knight flying. That's for messing with my friend, said Greetak. Meanwhile, back on board the battleship, Alan and the Master of Zombies were fighting all over the ship. Both warriors had sustained a moderate amount of damage. You shall fall, said the Master of Zombies. You shall not stop me, said Alan. This is for all the people you harmed with your dark powers. At that moment, Alan had charge of the Master of Zombies. You pitiful human, said the Master of Zombies. What makes you think you can stop me? One thing you don't have, said Alan. A human spirit. At that moment, Alan had used the overhead slice move on the Master of Zombies. Alan had followed up with a series of moves. The battle between Alan and the Master of Zombies had gone all over the place. Meanwhile, outside the battleship, Isordan and Calyx's forces had managed to get past the battleship's defenses, but not without heavy casualties. Calyx had come face to face with the Battle Knight. So, said Calyx, we meet at last. Finally, I shall have what is rightfully not mine. Not likely, said the Battle Knight. At that moment, the fight over the power of the Battle Knight has begun. What the Battle Knight doesn't know is that Calyx has a wolf plan to separate him from the armor. You shall not beat me, said the Battle Knight. No one has ever beaten me. Oh, said Calyx. What about Joseph Barker? Arrgh, exclaimed the Battle Knight as he charged the Calyx. Fool, Calyx said to himself. You fell right into my plan. All right, boys, Calyx said to his minions. Attack. At that moment, Calyx's minions had attacked the Battle Knight. Soon, said Calyx, that the power shall be mine. Meanwhile, back in the battleship, Alan and the Master of Zombies had battled their way throughout most of the ship. Just then, Necro-Oracle had contacted Alan. Alan, said Necro-Oracle, go to the engine room. For what reason? Asked Alan. If you want to disable the battleship, said Necro-Oracle, target the reactors. If you insist, said Alan. At that moment, Alan had attempted to start on his way to the engine room. Alan was stopped by the Master of Zombies. You shall not get to the engine room, said the Master of Zombies. We shall see, said Alan. Where is the engine room, Necro-Oracle, said Alan. The engine room is at the stern section of the battleship, said Necro-Oracle. It is on deck 12. As soon as Necro-Oracle said that, Alan had started on his way to the engine room. Master of Zombies had given chase. Meanwhile, outside the battleship, the army of Sorokor had managed to fight back against the undead forces. We have them on the run, said Ortusor. We may have a chance to win, said Calsortus. Just then, Vortossus, commander-in-chief of the Kordrak forces, had contacted Calsortus. Calsortus said, Vortossus, reinforcements are on their way. Excellent, said Calsortus. We shall win. All the while, the Calyx and the Battle Knight were fighting. The Battle Knight was on the losing end of the fight. I shall not let you win, said the Battle Knight, as he charged the Calyx. With Darkness Blast, exclaimed Calyx as he used his Darkness Blast attack. The attack had killed the Battle Knight. Forgive me, Master Zombies, said the Battle Knight, for I have failed you. As soon as he said that, his final words, the Battle Knight, also known as Sir Malcolm Herbert, had died. The Battle Knight's armor and the skull sword had begun to disappear. Now's my chance, said Calyx. That was where Calyx had taken the Battle Knight's sword and skull sword. At that moment, the reinforcements that Vortossus had said had arrived. Finally, said Captain Zordash, we're winning. Meanwhile, on the battleship, Alan and the Master of Zombies had already made it down 9 decks. You shall not win, said the Master of Zombies. All the while, Alan was forcing him towards the engine room. What makes you think you can stop me, said the Master of Zombies, for I have the powers of all those whom I had possessed over centuries. Apparently, said Alan, you still retain the darkness of your origin. All the while, the Kordrak forces and the armies of Sorokor were winning. The Kordrak forces had consisted of several fighters and 2 destroyers. That was where Alex Johnson had encountered Ice Orton. At long last, said Alex, we meet. Indeed, old friend, said Ice Orton. All forces attack. At that moment, Alex and Ice Orton had started fighting each other. All the while, Alan and the Master of Zombies were making their way to the engine room. Alan was forcing the Master of Zombies towards the engine room. Alan's armor had sustained severe damage. At that moment, Necro-Oracle had contacted Alan. Alan, said Necro-Oracle, what in the realms is taking so long? I'm trying, said Alan. The Master of Zombies is stopping me. All the while, Alan was forcing the Master of Zombies down the corridors, all the way down to the engine room. Meanwhile, outside the battleship, the battle between Alex Johnson and Ice Orton was underway. The effects of the spell had affected both sides. All of a sudden, the Undead battleship had opened fire on the mercenary ship using the remaining weapons system. Arg, said Captain Mortensen. We've been hit. Wait a minute, said Captain Sordash. I have an idea. What would that be? Asked Captain Mortensen. The Dragonfire still has all of its missiles intact, said Captain Sordash. Oh, you plan on taking down the battleship using missiles, said Captain Mortensen. There's just one problem with that. What do you mean? Asked Captain Sordash. When the undead armies had made their way to Castle Director, said Captain Mortensen, they had examined the ship. Fortunately, said Captain Sordash, the Arch Mages and the Arch Mage Alex Johnson had used the spell cloaking to hide the remaining weapons. Also, there was the electronic countermeasures that countered the battleship's scans. That might be crazy enough to work, said Captain Mortensen. But there's one thing I'm worried about. What's that? Asked Captain Sordash. Alan's on board the battleship, said Captain Mortensen. I have a feeling he'll survive, said Captain Sordash. Sir, said the helmsman, incoming enemy fire. Evasive maneuver, said Captain Mortensen. Aye, sir, said the helmsman. Meanwhile, on the battleship, Alan and the Master of Zombies had made it to the corridor outside the engine room. Finally, said Alan, we'll seal it about winning. Not likely, said the Master of Zombies. After he said that, the Master of Zombies had knocked Alan right into the engine room. Just then, Captain Sordash and Joseph had contacted Alan. Alan said, Captain Sordash, you better hurry, for a missile strike is about to occur. Alan, said Joseph, get the parts. I don't have enough time, said Alan. Then get out there, said Joseph. I'll do it, said Alan. As soon as he said that, Alan had taken off the heavily damaged armor's top section. So, said the Master of Zombies, the final battle has begun. Indeed it has, said Alan. Let's bring it on. At that moment, the final battle has begun. The battle is fierce, with both sides taking damage. You shall not win, said Master of Zombies. We'll see about that, said Alan. At that moment, Alan had seen a crucial part of the engine. All the while, the ship that the mercenaries had operated had sustained heavy damage. Sir, said the helmsman, we're about to make an emergency landing. At that moment, Captain Sordash had completed the missile launch sequence. 10 minutes launch, the ship's computer said. Excellent, said Captain Sordash. After he said that, Captain Sordash had contacted Alan to tell him about the missile strike that was about to happen. Thanks to the update, said Alan. At that moment, Alan had turned to face the Master of Zombies. All right, you rotting pile of flesh, said Alan. Let's bring it on. At that moment, the battle had begun. Soon enough, the action had heated up. Both sides had sustained heavy damage. Alan had managed to fire some shots at the main reactor. You fool, said the Master of Zombies. You'll kill us both. What in the realms are you talking about? Asked Alan. Ha, said the Master of Zombies. You don't know about my human persona. What the? Said Alan. My human persona was that of a grave robber named Kendall Williams, said the Master of Zombies. Ha! Said Alan. In case you didn't notice, your human persona would not have died, because he couldn't handle the power. Urgh, said the Master of Zombies. At that moment, the Master of Zombies had charged at Alan. Alan had just managed to dodge his attack. The battle was getting fierce, with both warriors having to dig down deep within themselves to keep going. I can't let him win, said Alan to himself. I can't let it. If he does it, all will be lost. I can't let that happen. Too many people had died. At that moment, Alan had charged at the Master of Zombies and had delivered a series of well-placed sword slices and shotgun blasts. That resulted in Master of Zombies being worn down enough to fall in battle. Just then, the Gatemaster had contacted Alan. Alan, said Gatemaster, you must not lose control over your emotions. I'm trying, said Alan, but there is a missile strike about to happen in less than 10 minutes. Then you must hurry, said the Gatemaster. Also, I have some bad news. Captain Sworddash has fallen prey to Necro-Oracle's fire blast. He has died. Oh, great, said Alan. How much time is left? 6 minutes, 35 seconds, said the Gatemaster. Tell Officer Morgan to intercept me, said Alan, when I complete this mission. I'll do that, said the Gatemaster. At that moment, Alan had continued the fight. Update, 6 minutes, 27 seconds, the ship's computer said. I must hurry, said Alan. As soon as he said that, he had unleashed a series of attacks. For Octiviox, Alan said as he attacked the Master of Zombies, that resulted in the Master of Zombies falling back towards the reactor. The attacks proved to be fatal. You shall not survive, said the Master of Zombies with his final breath. Even though you have beaten me, you shall go down with this ship. Not likely, said Alan. As soon as Alan said that, he delivered the final blow. At that moment, Joseph had contacted Alan. Alan, said Joseph, what's your status? I'm in the engine room, said Alan. The Master of Zombies has fallen. There's 6 minutes and 27 seconds left to a missile launch. You had better hurry up, said Joseph. I'm on my way out, said Alan. At that moment, Officer Morgan had contacted Alan. So, said Officer Morgan, you wanted me to intercept you? Indeed, said Alan. We better hurry. We have less than 6 minutes before a missile strike hits the ship. I'm on my way, said Officer Morgan. That was where Officer Morgan had headed towards the ship. But first, Officer Morgan had to contend with the hordes of the undead. All the while, the clock was ticking for the missile strike. 5 minutes, 39 seconds, the ship's computer said. Officer Morgan, you better, said Alan, you better hurry it up soon. Soon enough, after 4 minutes had passed, Alan Officer Morgan had managed to find a clear spot to lift off in order to intercept Alan. All the while, Calox, the new battle knight, and his forces had retreated. The remaining 2 generals had switched sides to Necro-Oracle's side. Update, 45 seconds remaining. The ship's computer said to Alan. Officer Morgan, said Alan, you better hurry it up. Just then, Officer Morgan had arrived. Alan, said Officer Morgan, did you call for a lift? Of course, said Alan. Let's get a move on. As soon as Alan said that, the two had escaped for a section of the battleship that Officer Morgan's mech suit had entered in. Seconds later, the missile strike had hit the battleship. Phew, said Alan. We only made it out with seconds to spare. Indeed, said Officer Morgan. Take a look at the battlefield. Well, I'll be, said Alan. The enemy forces are retreating. Not only that, said Officer Morgan, we won. As soon as they were speaking, the two had seen the remaining forces surrendering to the warriors of Sword Corps and the Kortrek reinforcements. As soon as Officer Morgan and Alan had landed, Necro-Oracle had called over to Alan. Excellent work, Alan, said Necro-Oracle. You have beaten the Master of Zombies. Yes, said Corzon. Peace has come to this realm. Yes, said Alan. But at what cost of many lives? It is sad that these beings have died, said Calsortus. Guys, said Officer Morgan, the battleship's about to crash. Just then, the warriors had headed for cover to avoid the effects of the crash. Moments later, the ship had crashed. Is everyone alright? Asked Officer Morgan. Apparently so, said Greetak. Then, in that case, said Clint, let's celebrate this victory. Perhaps, said Alan. After he said that, the warriors of Sword Corps had left to rebuild their lands, but not before taking a moment to remember their fallen comrades. Alan, said Necro-Oracle, we shall see each other soon. Indeed, said Alan, that was where the heroes had made it back to the castle to Rocktor. You know something, Adam, said Alan, this castle is the very spot where our adventure had begun. You're right, Alan, said Officer Morgan. That is also the place where we met Brocktar, not to mention Sir Dante Morgan, said Alan, also Ortalk, King Anderson, and the rest of the inhabitants. It is a shame that it is now in ruins, said Officer Morgan. Not to worry, said Calsortus. I know of someone who can help in its reconstruction. I'm surprised that Telsor didn't try to swing his axe at Dante, said Greetak. Just then, Joseph has contacted Alan. Alan, said Joseph, I just want to congratulate you on the mission. I'm sorry I didn't get to retrieve the parts, said Alan. At that moment, the heroes had seen the sky darken with the clouds. The clouds had formed the image of the Master of Zombies. I shall return one day, said the Master of Zombies. Remember this day, hero. That was where the clouds had moved away and the skies brightened. That was weird, said Alan. What do you think he meant by heroes? Asked Officer Morgan. I'm not sure, said Alan. I doubt that this will be the last time we'll ever see the Master of Zombies, said Alex. If I may add something, said Caleb. He called Alan hero because he defended the realm against his evil. In that case, said Officer Morgan, he should have a heroic name. In that case, said Alan, my heroic name shall be Warrior Omega. Excellent choice, said Alex. At that moment, the Gate Master had contacted Alan. Congratulations on the success of your mission, said the Gate Master. Now I have a plan. What plan would that be? Asked the Gate Master. Asked Alan. Is the way to contact you, said the Gate Master, even if you are in other dimensions. By the way, I heard that you have a new heroic name. Indeed, said Alan. It is Warrior Omega. Most impressive, said the Gate Master. Well, said Alan as he checked his watch, I better be getting back to Earth. I have a delivery to complete. Could you stay a little longer? Asked Terrence. Oh, all right, said Alan. At that moment, the heroes had gone to Chiar for the victory celebration. At the celebration, there were some unexpected guests in the form of Necro-Oracle, now known as Arcos Darkblade, and the three former generals of the Undead forces. Tauras and Corzon were there. During the celebration, Alan had managed to take some pictures of his new friends. On that day, the realm was at peace for the time. The end. Epilogue. Alan. He had made sure on his promise to Octiviox. After he had buried Octiviox, he had returned to Earth. He had caught up with his work. Tolotok's Iron Hammer. He helps Alan install a new communications device so that the Gate Master can contact him. Lieutenant Kotaris. He becomes captain of the cruiser Dragonfire. He also helps build an outpost in Octiviox, which later expands to a town. Kalos Hortus. He and Brocktar had teamed up and started adventuring through the realms. He regularly keeps in contact with Karagoto, Tiras. She had traveled to Earth with Alan. Princess Anderson, Heather Anderson. She becomes Queen Anderson. She also begins her reign. She also marries her longtime boyfriend, Jeji Taltoris. Greetak. He returns to his post at the bridge into Chior. His friend Fortox had left for the dimension of the dead. Necro-Oracle, Arcos Darkblade. He had departed from Octiviox after the downfall of the Master of Zombies. No one knows his whereabouts. Kalox Wolfclaw, the new Battle Knight. After becoming the new Battle Knight, Kalox and his minions had formed their own empire located in Thoctus 7. Sir Dante Morgan. After the battle, he and Telsor had settled the grudge between them, which has lasted for 11 years. Ice Sergeant. After the battle, he and Skaltakas had continued to evade the bounty hunters. Officer Morgan. After the battle, he had returned to Earth. He was promoted to lieutenant. He had managed to hold on to the mech suit. King Clint Orans. After the battle, diplomatic relations had started between the barbarian tribes and the realm of Sorakor, York clan's leaders. After the battle, diplomatic relations had started between clans and the realm of Sorakor, or Tusor. After the battle, he and Sectus had teamed up and had helped the realm of Sorakor expand its boundaries. They had teamed up with Klartoxian Navigator, Tauras, and Corzon. After the battle, the two mercenaries had left Octiviox with Necro-Oracle. They had also buried their fallen comrades, Cyclops and Sorkortox. After the battle, Aros had signed an alliance with Queen Anderson, the Master of Zombies. After the battle, he, in spirit form, had been seen in the shadows, waiting for his time to get his revenge. Captain Morrison. After the battle, he and his crew had been hired to find and capture Kalox Wolfclaw. Joseph Stukov. He still keeps in contact with Alan. He had also had to continue training recruits. Alex Johnson. After the battle, he went back to the tower to train new students. He becomes a loyal advisor on Queen Anderson's court. Cale Brainerd. After the battle, he became a great warrior. He also becomes a student of Alex Johnson. Although very few people had expected him to do such actions, he had managed to progress in his training.